today. It's clear. The temperature is 63 degrees. The humidity is 65%. The wind out of the west is 7 miles per hour. So it shouldn't be any factor. The weather is beautiful. The Oakland Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is for a chance to meet the Pittsburgh Steelers, if that's much of a chance. But anyway, these two teams will be meeting each other today with that prospect in sight. Already the NFC has had an upset as Dallas came back in the final second to defeat the Minnesota Vikings today. The teams are lining up out here for the opening kickoff. And it will be a duel between the offense of Cincinnati, Ken Anderson, and the defense of the Oakland Raiders. And now with the play-by-play, here's Lindsey Nelson.
Thank you very much, Ron Simmons. Hello again, everybody. Dave Green has seen the ball up at the 35. Hart and Davis receive it to the Oakland Raiders. Hart led the league in kickoff returns. He averaged better than 30 yards per return. It is over to the Davis side of the field. Davis at the 10. Right side over the 10, 20, 30, and he is stopped at the 35-yard line. The Oakland Raiders on the kickoff return by Clarence Davis will start first and 10 at their own 35. Moore was downfield to make the tackle for Cincinnati. So now Kenny Stabler comes out. He was number 8 in the league among the passers this year. Completed 171 of 293, 58.4%, 16 touchdowns, but 24 interceptions. Front four defensively now for the Bengals. Ken Johnson, Bob Brown, Ron Carpenter, and Sherman White. First and 10. Oakland comes up. Wide receivers double to the left side. Cliff Branch is out there. Fred Biletnikoff's out there. Hubbard is in the backfield, but Davis gets the snap. Davis to the 40, going left now across to the 42-yard line with Tom Casanova hanging off. Big gainer. Clarence Davis, formerly of Southern Cal, moved it through there to the 42 again. The 7 and 2nd and 3. Gene Upshaw, the left guard, opening up a hole for him.
You probably see a lot of that today, Lindsey. The Raiders trying to run the ball. The Cincinnati defense is not that good against the rush. They have the number 1 defensive secondary against the pass.
Now Mike Bianni's in there, and he is wide to the right side. Second down and 3 yards to go. Here's Marv Hubbard carrying, and he gets it up just short of the 45-yard line. Jim LeClaire, the middle linebacker from North Dakota, came in to make the tackle. So it'll be third down and less than a yard to go. Ball near the 45-yard line. Here comes Pete Banaszak in. He has gained 672 yards, average 3.6. So they'll have a tight alignment here. Dave Casper has come in now as a tight end, so is Warren Bankston.
Banaszak, the leading rusher of this Raider team, which is strange until you look back at the fact that Hubbard was injured in the first game, and they've had so many injuries on the offense.
Stabler now gets the handoff. Banaszak first and 10 as he goes across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Pete Banaszak, a 10-year veteran from the University of Miami. Bob Brown, an 11-year veteran from Arkansas A&M, made the tackle along with Jim LeClaire. The Oakland Raiders, 2011, lost 3 during the regular season. They were the champs in the Western Division of the AFC. As a matter of fact, they've won the championship 8 times in the last 9 years. But they've been to the Super Bowl only once, 1967, when they lost to the Green Bay Packers of the late Vince Lombardi. In an I formation now. Take the handoff. Stabler's rolling. He's a left-hander. He gets it, and it's complete. Taken by Bianni just at the 40-yard line and perhaps the 39. As the Raiders have moved into Cincinnati territory on the strong left arm of Stabler. He's been bothered with arm trouble. Lon Simmons, he didn't look as though it bothered him at all on that throw.
Coach John Madden says that for the first time that Stabler is healthy, that he has no injury problems. He'd had a bad leg, he had a bad shoulder. He had difficulties this year, as witnessed by the 24 interceptions. In fact, the Raiders have turned the ball over 7 more times than they have taken it away from the opposition. Strange for a Raider team and strange for a division champion.
They're on a double wing now. Contact made at the line of scrimmage before the snap, and a whistle stops play. Just as Stabler started to take the ball and retreat. The whistle stopped play.
Jumped off there.
Illegal procedure against the Oakland Raiders. That'll cost them 5. Will move the ball out to the 44-yard line and make it first and 15.
Started to give the official. Jim Tunney is the referee. Frank Sinkovich is the umpire. The head linesman Walt Peters, the line judge is Gil Mace, the back judge Ray Douglas, the field judge, Bob Workman, and the alternate is Burl Kohler out there today.
The officials now coming in to respot the ball. They had put it up to 46 instead of the 44. So they were about to cross the Oakland Raiders 7 yards for an illegal procedure penalty when the allotted number is 5. Here come the Raiders out of the huddle and up to the line. Tight end just now is Bob Moore. Mike Cincinnati is still in there as a wide receiver. Blank is in the slot right. Pass Davis goes left. Wrinkles at the tackle hole and goes outside. Fumbles the football out of bounds. He was hit at the 40, fumbled it out of bounds down near the 36-yard line. Ken Riley and Jim LeClaire were hanging on to him as he fumbled, but he had last possession and picked up yardage on the fumble.
Well, we watched the St. Louis Cardinals get all the bad breaks and the Rams get all the good ones yesterday, Lindsay. That ball, when it bounced out of Davis's hand, it fell behind him, and as he was spun around by the defensive man, it hit his foot and bounced out of bounds, and as you said, went for added yardage. But it hit his foot. He had no chance to recover it at all.
Jess Phillips has come in. Clarence Davis has come out now. There goes Cliff Branch far to the left side. He can fly. Ciani is to the right side. Stabler dropping back. Off this one, and it is complete to the tight end, Bob Moore. And Ron Pritchard came in to make the tackle. Cliff Branch had cleaned out that area, and then the tight end Moore on a crossing pattern second went out of bounds at the 26-yard line. First and 10. Marv Hubbard comes back into the ball game now as Donizak comes out. And here comes Warren Bankston in as a tight end. First and 10 to the Oakland Raiders. They have the ball at the Cincinnati 26. Cincinnati Bengals with Paul Brown. 111 lost 3, the wild card team in the AFC. Twice before they have been in the playoffs. They have never advanced beyond the first round. Now the handoff, and it is taken on a sweep play, and it's Phillips carrying, and he goes down to the 20-yard line. Picks up 6 on the play. It'll be second and 4. Ron Carpenter from North Carolina State made the tackle. Here comes Biletnikoff into the ball game now. Clarence Davis also coming in.
Biletnikoff was suspect for this ball game. Fred injured, but probably the greatest pass pattern runner that the game has ever seen. Raymond Berry fans might object to that.
Second down and 4 yards to go. Oakland's ball at the Cincinnati 20. Wide receivers left and right. Stabler on a draw play. Gives it off now to Davis. And he is filled at the 24 for a loss of 4. It'll be third down and 8. Ken Johnson, the 5-year veteran from Indiana, the defensive left end, made the stop.
The Bengals don't do an awful lot of blitzing, and they generally do about the same thing all the time. Right now, what they're doing is taking out the man who plays on the nose, Bob Brown. He is going to the sidelines. I don't know whether he was shaken up or not, or whether they're just not all that happy with his performance. Now they put in, they're still going with 4 down linemen. They put in an extra linebacker is what they do, taking out Brown.
Now it is Stabler dropping back, and he guns the ball, and it is incomplete. Trying for an interception was Lamar Parrish. Parrish made a move. It was Biletnikoff for whom it was intended. It'll be 4th down and 8 now, and here comes the 48-year-old master, George Blanda, in to attempt the field goal. George Blanda this year in the field goal department is 44. He is 13 of 21.
2,002 points he has scored in his 26-year career. Only man to go over 2,000.
42-yard attempt with Stabler holding. Stabler puts it down. Blanda boots it. The 42-yarder is no good. It is short underneath the bar and wide to the left side. It'll be brought out and put in play at the line of scrimmage. With the score, the Raiders nothing, the Bengals nothing. There's a timeout on the field. Well, John Madden, the coach of the Oakland Raiders, who obviously has a legitimate fear his troops are peeking past Cincinnati toward a possible matchup with Pittsburgh, is not buying the assertion that the Bengals are weak on defending the run. Many of those yards were gained when the Bengals played pretty good defense, but Franco Harris, Greg Pruitt, and O.J. Simpson gained yardage on great individual skill in games past. They played Pittsburgh and Cleveland twice each and Buffalo once. We looked at the films, and many times when Simpson, Pruitt, and Harris made fantastic runs, there were no real breakdowns in the Cincinnati defense.
The Raiders look solid in every department. Ken Stabler is back on the beam, and the receivers are the best group in football when healthy. And the offensive line is possibly football's most effective, and the defense led the conference in fewest yards per minute. They even have football's top punter in Ray Guy, and the only pro in history to score 2,000 points in place kicker George Blanda. Yet the Raiders seem to be the kind of team that things happen to. We'll get to that in a moment.
Cincinnati's offensive line, they had hoped that they would be all set and that they would have their starting offense in there with Dave Lapham back in. John Shinners and Howard Fett usually are the men who carry the play in at right guard. But Lapham is not starting even though he was supposed to.
Anderson, the quarterback, the running back, to Fritz and Booby Clark. First and 10 at the 24-yard line. Now in motion, that's tight end Trumpy to the right side. Here's the pitch out. And it's taken by Stan Fritz. Fritz gets across the 30-yard line as he's knocked out of bounds. Stan Fritz, a rookie from North Carolina State. Leo Colsey from Ohio State came to make the tackle along with Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks starting as a linebacker as the Oakland Raiders will be playing a 3-4 for most of the afternoon.
They have only 4 down linemen, 4 defensive linemen on the roster. And after last Saturday, you cannot add. Even if you had to go in the playoffs with only 11 men, you'd have to do it. You can't add anybody to the roster now.
Second and 4 at the 30 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Anderson, the league's leading passer. Gives it again to Fritz off the tail of the temple. He goes to the left side, gets up to the 34-yard line. Very close to the first down stick. Gerald Irons, normally the right outside linebacker. He's playing inside today in the 4. Ted Hendricks is playing right outside. The inside linebackers are Monty Johnson and Gerald Irons. Phil Villapiano is outside on the left side. Third down of the yard to go. Ball is at the short of the 34-yard line. Here come the Bengals now. Center Bob Johnson, the first man ever drafted by this franchise. All-American at the University of Tennessee, comes over the ball. Anderson gets the snap now. Gives it quickly to Booby Clark. He's got the first down as he bursts through to the 42-yard line. George Atkinson up from strong safety to make the stop. First and 10 now for the Bengals. They have the ball at their own 42. Booby Clark picks up 594 yards during the regular season. He averaged 3.6, and into the bargain, he had 42 receptions.
Hendricks came out on that play. Dave Rowe went in to give the Raiders a 4-man, 4-down lineman. Now Hendricks goes back in. Rowe comes out.
They split the running backs now. Ken Anderson calling starting signals. That's Fritz in motion to the outside. Anderson dropping back to throw. Gives it out in the right foot to Booby Clark. Clark gets across the 45. Ted Hendricks hanging onto his shoulders as he moved on upfield. And it'll be spotted short of the 49-yard line.
From the looks of things in the opening moments of this game, it is going to be pretty much of an offensive contest. The two Kens, Anderson and Stabler, are able to move the ball club. Stabler, the player of the year last year, and Anderson certainly making a bid for it this season, as he's the #1 passer in all the National Football League.
Wide receivers for the Bengals are Isaac Curtis and Charlie Joyner. Bob Trumpy's the tight end. Second and 3 at the 49-yard line. No score. We're in the first quarter. They're in a slot left now. Start Trumpy. Wisconsin in motion. Handing it off to Booby Clark as he moves it up just across the 50 to the 49-yard line. Monty Johnson and Art Toms coming in to make the tackle. It'll be third down and a yard to go. Here comes Dave Rowe back into the ballgame now, and Hendricks is coming out, so they'll have 4 down linemen.
Talk about the Raiders going with a 3-man line most of the time today, simply because they have only 4 linemen and the number of injuries they've had. In contrast, Cincinnati has gone through this season with the same 43-man roster. They've had no one who has been lost for the season, which is almost unbelievable.
Third down and a yard to go. A tight formation here for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's to Fritz. He's trying to sweep left. Needs a place to cut back. Now he's running backwards, actually, trying to keep his balance. He's trying to get to the first down stick, and he may have made it. Jack Tatum closed him off along with Otis Sistrunk. He was trying to cut back, got his body turned sideways, and really was stumbling backwards. They're going to bring the chain all the way across the field to measure for the possible first down.
One thing's interesting watching the Oakland Raiders is watching head coach John Madden. John, who's been in the playoffs 6 out of the 7 years he's coached here at Oakland. He likes to get involved in the game. You'll find him on the field as much as his team.
They're measuring now for the possible first down. And it is first and 10 for the Cincinnati Bengals. be spotted at the 47-yard line. The 4 down linemen, when they go into the 4 for Oakland, are Otis Sistrunk playing outside on the left side. Dave Rowe plays the tackle on that side. Art Towns and Horace Jones on the other side. In the 3, it's Sistrunk, Towns, and Jones. Wide receivers left and right now for Paul Brown, Cincinnati Bengals. Richardson, Booby Clark are the running back. Anderson drops back to throw. And he's going to be sacked. He is sacked back in his own territory at the 47. Ted Hendricks, the man scoring, and Otis Sistrunk out to him for a loss of 6. It'll be 2nd and 16. Anderson is the conference and the league passing champion. Completed 228 of 377 during the regular season. That is an amazing completion percentage of 60.5. 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Ken Anderson from Augustana College in Illinois.
He has been sacked 34 times coming into this game, however, so his offensive line has let him get hurt a few times.
Wide receivers left and right now. That's Booby Clark in motion right. Anderson dropping back to throw. And he pops it. It is Chip Myers coming in to make the grab on the ball as Jack Tatum was covering defensively. And it is a completion at the 42-yard line.
Well, how Anderson got that ball through that crowd is unbelievable, and that Myers was able to hold on to it. There were at least 3 Raiders right there. He drilled the ball right in among them, and Myers had to reach out to make the catch. Held on when he was hit. And the Cincinnati offense that can move the ball is moving it right now, although they have 3rd down.
3rd and 4 at the 42-yard line, inside the 42 actually. Ken Anderson waits for the snap now, in motion at Stan Fritz to the left side. Anderson's off straight back to set up. Up off the screen to Booby Clark, but there is no screen there, and he's tackled at the 44 by Monty Johnson. A loss of 2 yards on the play, so it is 4th down coming up. Dave Green does both the punting and the field goal kicking for the Cincinnati Bengals. The kicking unit is coming on. And dropping back now is Neil Cozy. Neil Cozy broke the NFL record for punt return yardage this season. Punting, Dave Green has averaged 39.1. His longest 57 yards. He's a 3-year veteran from Ohio University. Cozy is a rookie from Ohio State, where he was a great All-American. Green standing at his own 41-yard line. Puts it up. A long, high spiraling kick. There will be no run back, and it's going to be in the end zone. It's a touchback. It'll be put in play 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
If there's any advantage in this ball game, it should be the kicking game advantage for the Raiders, both the field goal and the punting. There's a timeout with the score: the Raiders nothing and Cincinnati nothing.
Well, we mentioned to you a few moments ago that the Raiders seem to be the kind of team that things happen to. For instance, they are annually football's most penalized team and often commit infractions in key situations. We'll see if that happens today. They also have a series of key injuries, with defensive end Tony Klein out for sure, and receiver Fred Biletnikoff may play, but doubtful if he'll play much. They lost to New York 27-23 in 1968 in a game they thought they should have won. The Jets went on to make Super Bowl history against heavily favored Baltimore. Kansas City, beaten twice in regular season play by the Raiders, got an inspired catch from Otis Taylor to win their playoff matchup in '69 and later win the Super Bowl as a wild card entrant. Franco Harris of Pittsburgh beat them with that miracle grab in 1973. Well, Madden hopes that the Raiders can overcome the Bengals today, or rather to go on and meet the Pittsburgh Steelers, and hope Lady Luck will help them then, and a chance to play in the Super Bowl 10.
We mentioned if there's a difference in this game, it might be in the kicking game, where Ray Guy of the Raiders is the leading punter. George Blanda has a better record of field goals than does Dave Green for Cincinnati.
1st and 10, Stabler fakes the handoff to Hubbard. The left-hander guns it upfield to Frank. This Frank at the 37. Makes the circle, comes to the 40. Takes the right drive on 45-50. And the speedster Cliff Rice goes into Cincinnati territory. 1st and 10, inside the 45. Tom Casanova, the strong safety, finally brought him down.
Branch is so fast that he really can take advantage of mistakes. If you remember the Miami game in the playoffs last year, when he fell down, got up and ran for a touchdown. Cliff has that blazing speed that in all sports makes the other team commit the errors. They're so worried about that speed that they're going to do things they ordinarily wouldn't do.
It is first and 10 at the 44-yard line. Morris Bradshaw is in there now, and he's wide to the left side. Here's the handoff to Clarence Davis. Goes off back and left to the 40, the 35. Still going, and he is out of bounds on the far side near the 25-yard line. Jim Riley finally pushed him out of bounds. It's being spotted now at the 26. First and 10 for Oakland in Cincinnati territory. It has been said that the Oakland Raiders cannot win the big one. They want to disprove that saying this year. They have been in the Super Bowl only one time. That was in 1967. They want to try to go all the way this year.
The Raiders can't win the big one. They won every other one, though. Their record is the best in football.
Cliff Rice to the left side. Mike Ciani is wide to the right side. Vandersack is in there, the running back now. Vandersack gets the ball. He's inside the 25 and goes all the way down to the 22-yard line. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is Mutual, your news and sports radio network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Lon Simmons and our Mutual crew here at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. It is a bright, sunny day. Temperature at game time, 63 degrees. Second down play coming, 2nd and 7. The ball's at the 23-yard line. Stabler dropping straight back. The left-hander takes a look over the middle, and it is complete. It is down about the 16 to Clarence Davis, who came out of the backfield to make the catch. It's going to be first and 10 at the 16. Ron Pritchett from Arizona State made the tackle.
Be an interesting battle going on here. Bob Brown, the defensive tackle for the Cincinnati, usually lines up right over the center, either side of him. And now there's a conference down there. They're checking to see if it's a first down. The official bring the chains up. But Brown, at 280 pounds, stays right around that center. Dave Dalby, the only other starting center for the Raiders other than Jim Otto. The first down for the Raiders. But Otto retired this year, and he was the original center for the Raiders. Played all the way till this year when Dalby, a 4-year man, took over. And it's Dalby's job to try to handle the 280-pound Bob Brown.
Langston has come in now to tight end, and so is Casper, double tight end alignment. First and 10 at the 16-yard line of Cincinnati, and Oakland possession. Cliff Rice, part of the right side, the only wide receiver. Clarence Davis up-ended as he started off to the left side. Bob Brown, the 11-year veteran, 6'5", 280-pounder, came in to make the tackle.
Obviously, Dalby didn't handle him that time.
Second down and 12 now at the 18. Mike Ciani's in the lineup now. Casper has come out. We're in the first quarter. There is no score.
Cincinnati does not play a gambling type of defense. They don't blitz their linebackers very much, and they play about 80% man-for-man on pass coverage, which the Raiders will try to take advantage of.
3 minutes, 5 seconds left in the quarter. Stabler drops back to take a look. Guns this one incomplete. Stabler, the left-hander, got it an incomplete pass. Jim LeClaire was covering, and the whole Oakland crowd thinks there might have been pass interference on the play. It's brought back to the line of scrimmage. Jess Phillips comes in down for Oakland.
Something that doesn't happen all the time, of course, is not impossible because it's happening now, but teams that have played each other in the regular season, playing each other in the playoffs, and Cincinnati holds a victory over the Raiders. One of the Raiders' 3 losses this year, 14-10.
They're on a double wing this time, and here's the reverse play with the left kickoff carry. Or is it Jess Phillips? He's inside the 10-yard line. It is Jess Phillips, number 35. Gene Upshaw leading the way, and Jess Phillips moved it just inside the 10-yard line. Pickup of 8, going to make it 4th and 4. And here comes the field goal unit led by 48-year-old George Blanda. George Blanda played quarterback for Bear Bryant at the University of Kentucky in the late 1940s. Bryant, of course, is still coaching now at the University of Alabama. Blanda is still kicking. Not going to knock longevity because I broadcast some of their games back then. Kenny Stabler puts it down, and the kick is up, and the 27-yarder is good. A 27-yard field goal by Blanda is good. With the score, Oakland 3, Cincinnati nothing. There's a timeout on the field.
The Cincinnati Bengals are starting only one rookie in this playoff game, but he talks like a veteran. Playing them is no big thing to me, insists running back Stan Fritz. I just know they're a very good team and we can't afford any mistakes. The rookie out of North Carolina State, who was only given a 50-50 chance of making the squad before summer training camp started, has emerged as one of the Bengals' biggest weapons for the playoffs. The hard-driving halfback, who came on strong late in the season, wound up leading the team in touchdowns with 10, 8 on runs, and 2 on pass receptions. He also was the club's second leading ground gainer. Last week against San Diego, Fritz ran 82 yards and 16 carries and caught 3 passes for another 24 yards. He scored 1 touchdown off a run and another on a pass reception. The native of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, sizes himself up as an instinct runner. I'm learning how to find my holes and use my blockers better, but running seems to be like an instinct for me, says Fritz. It always has. The Bengals drafted Fritz in the 4th round after they were impressed by his running in the Bluebonnet game.
Talking a moment ago, as we were, about the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, John Madden, in his 7th year with the Raiders. Across the way, Paul Brown, of course, who started out at Massillon High School, is in his 41st year of coaching.
Ray Guy kicking off. Jackson is deep. Bernard Jackson waits, and he takes it at the 8-yard line, to the 10, to the 15, to the 20, to the 25. Jackson to the 26-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cincinnati Bengals. They will start from their own 26. Downfield to make the tackle on the kickoff, Dinnery. For the Oakland Raiders, we have 2 minutes, 4 seconds left in the first quarter. Oakland 3, Cincinnati nothing. The winner, of course, in the AFC Championship game next Sunday in Pittsburgh will meet the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you'll hear that game right here on Mutual. Wide receivers left and right. Ken Anderson now moves Joyner up to the left side. One lone setback. Anderson drops back to right-hander. And it's Joyner, and he cannot hold it at the 41. Joyner had it just for a second. George Atkinson, the strong safety, covering. 2nd and 10 at the 26.
Hendricks is blitzing on about every play. Ted at the right linebacker with a 3-down lineman, and that time he was picked up on the blitz, but being so tall, he got past the blocker finally, put his arms up in the air. Anderson had to throw the ball right between his arms, and that might have bothered his aim a bit. The pass was a little low.
Matt Stark came to Oakland after playing out his option at Green Bay. He came to Green Bay after playing out his option at Baltimore. Here's Anderson, takes the handoff, looks and throws right. It's a long one to Joyner, and it's incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 10 at the 26. Alonzo Thomas, who's had 6 interceptions, covering on the left corner. Neil Coasley playing the right corner today. Willie Brown's out.
A little interested to see the Cincinnati air attack going to the left side of the Raider defense, the right side of Cincinnati offense, because on the right corner is the rookie Neil Coasley, the number 1 choice from Ohio State. Coasley, who you mentioned set a record 665 yards of punt return, has also intercepted 4 passes, but he's playing in the place of the veteran Willie Brown, and now Willie Brown goes into the lineup as an extra back.
There goes Curtis to a set right, leaving a lone setback, and that's Booby Clark dropping back. Here's Anderson, goes to screen right, taken by Trumpy, the tight end, and Trumpy is filled by Charlie Phillips. The former All-American at Southern Cal, and he's filled it back at the 19-yard line for a loss of 7. It's 4th and 17. The punting unit comes on now.
Might say the Raiders knew how to draft. Coasley and Phillips were opponents in the Rose Bowl. Phillips with SC and Coasley with Ohio State. And out here, they're teaming up with the Raiders, and Phillips did a beautiful job on that one.
Dave Green is dropping back in deep punt formation. Neil Coasley will return the punt. He's standing at his own 43-yard line. Green averaged 39 yards per kick during the regular season. And that says he's waiting for the long snap. A little low, but he pulls it up and boots it. Coasley moves up now, and he is at here 43, to the 45, to the 50, and that's the end of the line. The Oakland Raiders will start 1st and 10 at the 50. The tackle by Devlin downfield. 59 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Raiders are leading by a score of 3-0. Ken Stabler played his college football for Bear Bryant at the University of Alabama. Stabler ranked number 8 among the fastest in the league, 171 for 293, 58.4%, 16 touchdowns, but 24 interceptions for Stabler. That's Hubbard carrying off right tackle, and Hubbard, the big man, drives right on to the 42-yard line of Cincinnati. Marv Hubbard, a 225-pounder, 7-year veteran from Colgate. Al Beauchamp came in to make the tackle, an 8-year veteran from Southern. Gain of 8 on the play, a second down and 2 yards to go. The playoffs yesterday, of course. The Pitt Steelers beat Baltimore 28-10. In the National Conference, St. Louis lost to the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 35, the Cardinals 23. This afternoon in the game heard earlier on Mutual, Minnesota was defeated by the Dallas Cowboys 17-14. As Hubbard carrying off left tackle to the 40-yard line, again at 2. Very close to the first down. Jim LeClaire and Ken Johnson converge to make the tackle. Again, the crew looks and they're going to bring out the chain to measure. Jim Tunney's the referee. He was married last August and 2 days later worked the game between Pittsburgh and Oakland in Berkeley. Spent his honeymoon refereeing a football game.
Some of us spend our honeymoons refereeing a lot of things, but I've never heard of a football game.
It's a little short, says Tunney. It's going to be third down. Down, and inches to go now for the Oakland Raiders. They have the ball at the Cincinnati 40-yard line. 13 seconds remaining to be played in the first quarter at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Davis and Banaszak are the running backs. Banaszak gets it, powers in for the first down. They like to give it to him on short yardage. Time has run out in the third. LeClaire made the tackle. That's the end of the first quarter with a score Oakland 3, Cincinnati 0.
Two of the greatest old pros of all time are on opposite sides of the field today. Neither Bengal coach Paul Brown nor Raider place kicker George Blanda has ever made it to the Super Bowl. One will find out today if he will continue to be denied. Quarterback Willie Brown and wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff and Mike Ciani all hurting for the Oakland Raiders today, but probably all of them will play. Ciani already has, and Biletnikoff, Willie Brown has not. Only guard David Lapham and backup linebacker Chris Devlin are nursing Cincinnati injuries. Brown, the only coach ever to have a team named after him, calls this year's squad the best Cincinnati Bengal team ever and thinks it has a chance to take him back to his glory days with Cleveland as coach of a championship club. While the Bengals, led by quarterback star Ken Anderson, can move the ball as well as anyone, it is the solidified defense of this year's Bengal team that Brown sees as the key to this season's 11-3 mark. At the start of the season, many figured the Bengal defense would suffer because of the loss of all-pro defensive tackle Mike Reed. At the moment, they have not.
It will be Dallas and the Los Angeles Rams next week at Los Angeles for the NFC Championship game. In case you didn't hear, or whether you heard or not, it happened that Minnesota was leading 14-10 over Dallas. Dallas was 3rd and 18 in its own territory with something like a minute to play. They picked up a first down, and then Roger Staubach hit Preston Pearson on a 50-yard touchdown pass with just 30 seconds remaining to beat the veteran Minnesota defense in what is probably one of the most unbelievable finishes of a game. And Dallas won it 17-14. Something you wouldn't expect the Minnesota defense to give up. A long pass with 30 seconds left.
It's the first time in the playoffs this year that a visiting team won. Yesterday, both the home teams won. 1st and 10 now. Oakland doing the double wing set at the 39-yard line of Cincinnati. Handed off this time to Banaszak. He comes left and stops just short of the 35-yard line. I beg your pardon, Mark Van Egan it was. Number 30, Van Egan in for that snap. Mark Van Egan, a second-year man from Colgate, who averaged 4.4. And it's going to be spotted short of the 35-yard line. Carpenter and LeClaire made the tackle.
I hope he is, because of the fact that they drew a lot of heat for getting rid of Bill Berge, who was their middle linebacker.
Second down and 6 yards to go. The Oakland Raiders are in a slot right. This handoff to Clarence Davis. Off tackle right, and just as he crossed the 35, he was popped. Going to be spotted just across the 35-yard line. Al Beauchamp and Jim LeClaire came in to make the stop there. It'll be third down and 5 yards to go. backfield now. When the chain gang came down at the end of the quarter, they aligned themselves the wrong way. They all got straightened out except one man who is still in the wrong direction, holding the marker up near the 50-yard line. The markers on either side, of course, that indicates the spot where the line of scrimmage should be. Here's Stabler now throwing a penalty marker, and wide open out there in the middle is his receiver, Clarence Davis. Davis took it. He got it to the 24-yard line, but there is a penalty marker. The officials conferring now to straighten this one out.
Ron Pritchard might have grabbed Ciani as he went by. Pritchard was the man who finally made the tackle on the play, but as Ciani went by him, I think Pritchard, the linebacker, might have reached out and held on to him to just try to slow him up a little bit. He wasn't trying to hurt him or anything.
A personal foul indicated. A personal foul against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, maybe he was trying to hurt him.
Now Penny picks the ball up and takes it down to the 12-yard line. Personal foul indicated against Cincinnati makes it 1st and 10 for the Raiders at the Cincinnati 12-yard line.
You don't have to give the Raiders anything. They'll generally take quite a bit from you. So this is something that Cincinnati can't really afford to do.
Jess Phillips is in that backfield now. The 8-year veteran from Michigan State picked up just before the start of the season by the Oakland Raiders. Ciani and Branch are going right. Pete Vanderdyke's in that backfield along with Phillips. They're in the slot right. Stabler handing it off this time, and Jess Phillips to the left side. Carries through to the 9-yard line. He picked up 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 at the 9. Jim LeClaire, the 4-year veteran from North Dakota, middle linebacker for John Madden. Or rather for Paul Brown's Cincinnati Bengals made the tackle. Here comes Phillips out and Clarence Davis coming back in. Davis, 5'10", 195-pounder, a 5-year veteran from the University of Southern California. He was the man who caught the pass at this end of the field against Miami last year as Stabler threw it, shot-putted it up there as he was falling. And Herder holding on to him, and that was the touchdown that gave Oakland the 28-26 victory. Stabler drops back, guns it into the end zone. Touchdown! A touchdown, and it is taken by Mike Ciani. Mike Ciani for the touchdown, as it was hummed in there by Kenny Stabler. Lamar Harrison covering defensively. So Oakland has scored a touchdown. They have a conversion attempt coming. Landa is in to attempt it. And points after he is 44 of 48 this year. Oakland has gone ahead 9-0 now with the conversion attempt coming. Stabler will hold for it. 48-year-old George Blanda. Stabler puts it down. Blanda puts it up. And it's good. With the score, Oakland 10, Cincinnati nothing. There's a timeout on the field.
Bob Johnson favors not being favored. It's great with me that we're probably an underdog against Oakland, says the Bengals center and offensive captain. I like it that way. It gives us a strategic edge. Right now it isn't helping them. There's more motivation when you are the underdog. It's the best philosophy to have going into a playoff game. But here's the key. Everybody outside the Bengals probably considers us the underdogs, but in my mind, I know we're really not. Johnson agrees with Coach Paul Brown that the 75 version of the Bengals playing the Raiders today is the best team in the 8-year history of the franchise. We're better than ever because we now have real talent at the skill positions, said Johnson. Wide receiver Isaac Curtis is in his 3rd year and has matured. Never have we had a quarterback that has developed like Ken Anderson has. Johnson views the Bengals with a unique perspective. The former Tennessee honor student was the first player drafted by the Bengals when they were formed back in 1968 and has always been the club's starting center and offensive captain. Johnson is considered to be the keystone of the offense by Paul Brown.
The Raiders have already scored as many points against Cincinnati as they did in the entire game. They lost to them at Cincinnati 14-10. I tell you, that man-for-man pass coverage, Ciani, Bolitnikoff, Branch, those guys are running against this stuff.
Ray Guy taking off Bernard Jackson retreats 5 yards deep into the end zone. He will not run it out. Lynn Valenti in front of him says, hold it, don't run it out. It's a touchback. It'll be put in play 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Paul Brown, Cincinnati Bengals, who twice before have been in the playoffs, losing each time in the first round. It is natural grass here, no artificial turf. The Bengals are used to playing on the artificial turf of Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. Here they come out of the huddling up to the line now. Ken Anderson, the quarterback, running back to the I formation. Ruby Clarkson, the fullback spot. Wide receivers left and right. Isaac Curtis to the right side. And it's taken this time by the tailback, Essex Johnson. And Essex Johnson, 8-year veteran from Grambling, moved it up just to the line of scrimmage. Monty Johnson, no assist truck, met him there. Anything he lost a foot on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. In first downs, Oakland has 7, Cincinnati 2. In the first quarter, net yards rushing, Oakland 54, Cincinnati 23. Net yards passing, Oakland 68, Cincinnati 2. Passing, Oakland 4 for 6, Cincinnati 4 for 6. Third down conversions, each team 2 for 4. We're in the second quarter, Oakland leading by a score of 10-0. Dropping back now is Anderson. And he's going to be sacked at the 11-yard line. His receivers were covered. He had no one to throw to. And Art Tom, the veteran from Syracuse, came in to drop him in defense of the 11-yard line. 3rd and 19.
Ted Hendricks is really giving that Cincinnati offense fifth. He just fires in at the quarterback. And the Cincinnati blockers are letting him get so close to Anderson when they finally do make contact with it that he's forcing right into the passer, and Anderson's having to be very much aware of him, try to throw the ball up high to get it over him, and as he's looking at him, the rest of the Raiders are coming in at it.
Joyner left and Curtis right. Ball's at the 11-yard line as they go to a high count. That is Curtis in motion back to the inside. Take the handoff to him. Essex Johnson carrying right. And he is bounced out of bounds up at the 18-yard line by Monty Johnson. So it's forced out of the punting unit coming on now for the Cincinnati Bengals. Dave Green does their punting, and Neil Colby is stopping back to receive the punt. The hand from the Oakland crowd is for the Oakland defense coming off the field. John Madden in his shirt sleeves up and down that sideline. He played 1 year of professional football for the Philadelphia Eagles.
This bad field position for Cincinnati also. Dave Green doesn't have the leg, or at least this year he doesn't, to kick them out of trouble. So the Raiders should get another good spot on the field.
Bob Johnson stays in again to make the snap in deep punt formation. Let's get back there. Green. And it's partially blocked. Hendrick. Partially blocked by Ted Hendrick. Rounds up to the 30. Rolling along now to the 39-yard line. And Oakland will start first and 10 at the 39. The man short, Ted Hendrick, got a hand on it.
If there's ever been a specialist at blocking punts, it has to be Ted Hendrick. I don't know how many in his career he's blocked, but he's blocked 2 and 3 in a game on occasion, simply because he just has a great speed and tremendous height that he gets in there.
So Oakland has the ball first and 10 at the Cincinnati 39. Oakland leading 10-0. 11 minutes, 22 seconds left to play in the first half. 22-yard kick. The handoff now, and it is taken by Barb Hubbard. He goes right and gets to the 40-yard line. Ken Johnson coming in on the tackle. End of a yard on the play. I beg your pardon, lost of a yard on the play. Make it 2nd and 11.
Big defensive series for Cincinnati. They give up any more points to the Raiders on this drive, and you've got sort of a carbon copy of yesterday's game, the Rams in St. Louis. It's going to be a long, long way to have to try to catch up.
Cincinnati goes to the right side, Bryce to the left side. Ken Stabler, the snake is back. In left-hander, he guns it now to Cincinnati. He is over near the 29-yard line as he dives and made the catch. He was inbound at the first down at the 29. In advance of the 6 on the far side. First and 10 for Oakland. 10 for Oakland at the Cincinnati 29. Lee Fanaszak, the junior veteran from Miami, is coming in.
I mentioned yesterday, talking about the Rams, the Minnesota Vikings in the Ram game, that the Minnesota receivers come back to their passer, Fran Tarkenton, when he scrambles around. So do the Raiders. Those two teams do that very well. Cincinnati that time saw that Stabler was in a little bit of trouble. He came back, ran away from the coverage, and made the catch.
Rice is in slot left now as Stabler drops back to look. Wants to put it up again. He does. Over the middle and Swift right. Inside the 10-yard line. Tom Castello made the stop. First and goal at the 8-yard line. Rice made the catch under heavy pressure at the 8-yard line.
Stabler has as much time as he's had so far. He'll pass the eyes out of that number number one secondary is Cincinnati. There's just no way you can stay with those receivers that long. And the Raider offensive line is keeping everybody away from Stabler back there. He has all the time he wants to throw and look.
First and goal at the 8. 3 tight ends in the alignment now. Bob Moore, Dave Casper, Warren Baxton. Davis is back in the backfield for Phillips. Now, an attempted sweep. Davis carrying, and he's cut down at the 14 by Ron Pritchard, the Arizona State linebacker who came in to spill him for a loss. Back at the 14, it'll be second and goal at the 14-yard line. Here comes Cliff Price back into the game now.
There's when guessing becomes part of the game. Pritchard blitzed, and he's the only linebacker on the Cincinnati Bengals that blitzes very much. He's the only one that's good at it, so they say. But he blitzed to that side, and the Raiders just happen to have the call to that side.
Davis comes out, and Jess Phillips comes back in now. Rice is in. Running backs are evened up. Stabler dropping back to throw now, and he guns this one. It's incomplete. Incomplete at the 6-yard line. It's headed for Ciani. It'll be third and goal at the 14.
Ciani was thinking about which corner of the end zone he was going to run into, whether he was going to spike the ball, whether he was going to throw it up there, what he was going to do with it, because he had 6 points. He thought. There was one little mistake he made. He didn't hold on to the ball.
Harold Hart comes in now for Jess Phillips at the running back. Harold Hart, the 2-year veteran from Texas Southern. He's been a great kickoff return man for the Oakland Raiders. It is third down now, and goal to go at the 14. Dropping back is Stabler. And this pass is partially deflected, and Price can't hold it at the 10. It'll be fourth down at the 14. Ken Johnson just got a hand on it to deflect it partially. So here comes George Blanda in again. Oakland is leading by a score of 10-0, and Blanda is going to attempt another field goal.
Those last 2 plays, the Raiders sent their backs up. They sent both backs out into the pass pattern, so Stabler didn't get as much time to throw as he had previously. They put a little bigger rush on him.
31-yard attempt here. A 31-yard attempt for Blanda. It's blocked. It's blocked. Bounding around on the 25. And picked up by the Cincinnati Bengals. It is Sherman White. And Cincinnati takes over now first and 10 at the 35-yard line. Steve Vanderdyke made the tackle there. But the field goal attempt was blocked. Sherman White picked up the ball first and 10. The Paul Brown Bengals, they have it at their own 35.
If you don't think that's a big turnaround, Ciani has a touchdown pass in his hands. His timeout is taken on the field, and then the field goal is blocked.
With the score, Oakland 10, Cincinnati nothing. There's a timeout on the field.
Well, every great basketball team has a 6th man who comes off the bench to recharge the offense. And the Raiders have the same kind of a guy in veteran halfback Pete Banaszak. He wasn't a starter this season, yet he led the team in rushing yards, gaining 672, and he tied Buffalo's O.J. Simpson for the most touchdowns rushing with 16. The pressure is on Banaszak and the other healthy Raiders today. As we said earlier, defensive end Tony Klein is missing this game, although it was announced Tuesday that his knee injury is not as serious as first feared. He won't need surgery and could be ready for a second playoff battle should the Raiders win this one next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Other injury problems today, Mike Ciani, and he is playing. He just dropped the pass in this last series. Banaszak, meanwhile, is ready for a full go, but minimizes his own contributions. I have had a lot of opportunities to score, more than anybody else in the club, he said. Anyway, it's a team effort in those short yardage situations.
Fantastically big turnaround to keep Cincinnati in this ballgame here in the first half. Lindsey?
First and 10 at the 35-yard line. Ken Anderson has wide receivers left and right. Isaac Curtis in motion back toward the inside. Quick pick. Taken by Isaac Johnson. Upended by Neil Cozy. The right quarterback, Neil Cozy, fired in to upend Isaac Johnson at the 29-yard line for a loss of 6.
Well, Cozy that time didn't go for the fake on Curtis at all. Curtis moving in like that. He just read run all the way. Fired in there to make the tackle. I think that quite probably Cincinnati may try to set that same thing up later on, see if they can bring Colsey in like that again and let Curtis go down the sideline.
In the I formation, Ruby Clark is in the fullback spot. Isaac Johnson is the tailback. They start Isaac Curtis from the right side in motion back to the inside. Make the draw. Now Anderson steps up to throw, and he throws it complete at the 50-yard line. And it is taken by Joyner. He goes out of bounds at the 43. George Atkinson. Now bouncing Charlie Joyner out of bounds. But Cincinnati now has moved into Oakland territory. First and 10 at the Oakland 43.
That time, the Cincinnati line did a good job of holding the Raiders out. Anderson had a lot more time than he has on any previous play, and the results were evident because he had two receivers. It's sort of a strange pattern. He had two receivers who were either holding hands or could have held hands. They went by each other. They might have been running sort of a delayed pick out there. But anyway, got his man free.
Chip Myers to the left side. Isaac Curtis to the right side. The running back to evened up. Motion to the outside. Booby Clark carrying off right tackle inside the 40. Booby Clark at the 35-yard line. Running hard. Moves to the 35. Well, it's going to be second down and about 2 yards to go. Monty Johnson, the middle linebacker, coming in to make the tackle. Here comes Fritz into the ballgame now with the next play. Paul Brown calls every play from the sideline. Normally he uses John Chinnett and Howard Best as messenger guards. However, today he's had to use John Chinnett in place of Dave Lapham as his right guard, so he's shuttling other positions. He's using a wide receiver and back to bring in the play. Booby Clark. Now the handoff taken by Fritz. Trying to get to the 6. Very close. Bill Filippiano from Bowling Green in to make the tackle. He'll check for the possible first down now.
I don't know if Filippiano is the toughest man on the field, but he would have to come awfully close to being the toughest. He is really a rugged linebacker, and when he hit Fritz that time, Fritz just stopped. He didn't advance any further. It looked like he was going to get the first down, but he's about a half yard short.
Third down, short of the 33-yard line, and there'll be 4 down linemen in there now as Hendricks has come out and Roll has come in for Oakland. They're bunched up. Anderson, handing it off. However, he keeps it and takes the handoff. The long pass to the end zone. And it is incomplete. Incomplete way down there. George Atkinson was covering defensively down in the end zone as Isaac Curtis had run that sprint down there. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is Mutual, your network for news and sports.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Lon Simmons and the Mutual crew. There was a penalty marker on the last play against Oakland. Jim Tunney, the referee, comes out to indicate offside against Oakland. Moves the ball to the 29-yard line and gives Cincinnati a first down. First and 10 now for the Bengals. As they try to get something on the scoreboard, Oakland is leading by a score of 10-0.
George Atkinson was trying to complain that there should have been pass interference against Curtis in the end zone, but he wasn't getting any straight answers from the official.
Running back to the I formation, Fritz the tailback, Booby Clark's the fullback. This is Fritz over his own right guard. Gets to the 27-yard line as Monty Johnson came in to make the tackle, the 3-year veteran from Nebraska. Gain of 2, it's going to be second down and 8. Morris Jones from Louisville assisting on the last tackle as well. Here comes Joyner into the ballgame now for Cincinnati, along with Bruce Gottlieb. One of them bringing in the next play from Paul Brown, who says he will continue to call the plays as long as the Bengals continue to win. He has done that, of course, since he became a professional coach. He called the plays for Otto Graham during his years as head coach of the Fat Cleveland Browns. Second down and 8 yards to go. Take handoff. And now here's a pass to Booby Clark at the 15, the 10, the 5. Booby Clark now out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Booby Clark coming out of the backfield to take the pass. Bounced out, trying to get to the flag. He's out of bounds at the 1. George Atkinson, Alonzo Thomas. It'll be first and goal at the 1.
Well-designed play. Cincinnati taking advantage of Ted Hendricks blitzing on that one as Hendricks was putting the pressure on Anderson and rolled out to the near side, but that left that side of the field open for the back to get into an open area, which he did. There's timeout, and with the score right now, the Raiders 10, Cincinnati nothing.
Cincinnati rookie defensive back Marvin Cobb is back on the bench today, and the Raiders are probably happy. Cobb was the player most responsible for the Bengals beating Oakland 14-10 in the October 19th regular season game. In for his first series of plays from scrimmage as a pro, Cobb intercepted a Ken Stabler pass late in the third quarter and dashed 52 yards for the winning touchdown. For good measure, Cobb picked off another Stabler pass in the Cincinnati end zone in the final period to help preserve the win. But Cobb doesn't figure to get any interceptions today. He doesn't even expect to play. I'm looking forward to going out to Oakland, but I doubt if I will get in, says Cobb. I got my chance when the veterans were hurt, and they're back in there now. Cobb got into that October 19th game only because veteran quarterback Ken Riley had suffered a minor injury. The Bengals gave the game ball to Cobb, and long after the game ended, the rookie from Southern California was still clutching the trophy, saying, "I'm dreaming. I know I am. I didn't even expect to be playing."
Ruby Clark, who carried that ball down the 1-yard line, was injured on the play, but he's on his feet now. He's going to the sideline. He's all right, or appears to be all right. Easy for me to say up here. I didn't have to run into the cement wall and 3 or 4 of the Raider players. Ruby Clark did, but he went to the far side and seems to be capable of returning to the ballgame. Cincinnati trying to make a big turnaround here.
Ed Williams is in there in place of Clark now in the I formation. It's Williams and Fritz first and goal at the 1-yard line. Anderson's waiting for the snap. Gives it to Williams. He dives into the goal line and did not make it. He's pushed back. He tried to go up and over. Phil Villapiano met him, along with Otis Sistrunk. So it'll be second down and goal for Cincinnati inside the 1-yard line. Now they're shuttling tight ends to bring in the next play from Coach Paul Brown. It is Bruce Coslet coming in now from the University of the Pacific. Paul Brown is the only coach that the Bengals have ever had. Here they come up to the line once again. It's Williams ahead of Fritz in the I formation. Ken Anderson moves up now behind his center, Big Bob Johnson. Anderson waits for the snap. Gives it to Fritz, and Fritz dives off tackle for the touchdown. Fritz took it in, and the Cincinnati Bengals are on the scoreboard now. It's 10-6 with a conversion attempt coming for the Bengals. Oakland leading.
That was sort of a strange play. Fritz put his head down as though he was expecting to run into somebody, and the Raiders were all pinching in towards the middle. Hendricks was the only man out there. Hendricks hit him, but sort of a sidelong hit. He glanced off the Hendricks and went in the end zone, but I think Fritz was expecting all the way along to run into somebody, and he never did.
Ricky Davis is holding for Dave Green on the conversion attempt. Ricky Davis holding, Dave Green kicking. Davis puts it down. Green kicks it up, and it's good. So with the score, Oakland 10, Cincinnati 7, there's a timeout on the field.
Well, Roger Staubach's 50-yard touchdown pass to Drew Pearson with only 24 seconds left to play today gave the underdog Dallas Cowboys a 17-14 triumph over Minnesota and denied the Vikings a chance for a third straight National Football Conference championship and a Super Bowl appearance. Dallas, which finished the regular season with a 10-4 record to become the wild card playoff team, earned a spot in the NFC Championship game next week against the Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles. It was Dallas' second playoff victory in 3 games with the Vikings and the Cowboys' 10th victory in 19 playoff games. The Vikings suffered their 8th loss in 14 playoff affairs. Minnesota was the Central Division champion with a 12-2 record and would have hosted the title game if it had won Sunday. The Vikings grabbed a 14-10 lead on a 1-yard run by Brent McClanahan with only 5:11 left to play, but Staubach, who outclassed Minnesota's Fran Tarkenton in the battle of quarterbacks, couldn't accept the defeat. Dallas was hemmed in until 2 long passes scored the winning touchdown.
Well, we mentioned about a turnaround. The Raiders appeared on their way towards the touchdown and seemed as if they had it when Tiani dropped Stabler's pass at about the 5-yard line. One that he looked like he was going to take in. Then the Bengals blocked the field goal attempt by the Raiders. Drove down the field, got the touchdown, so rather than trailing 17-0, they're back into the 10-7.
Green is kicking off. Hart is deep along with Davis. Davis is waiting now, and he takes it at the 8-yard line. He's to the 10-15. Davis comes up to the 20-25, to the 30, up the sideline, 35-40. Has to go back to the inside. Is hit down at the 45-yard line. It was Casino who came in to make the tackle. So it's going to be first and 10. A fine kickoff return by Clarence Davis.
One of the things that Cincinnati did on that kickoff return that time in protection against it, they were being overly cautious. They were afraid of making a mistake to let Davis take it back all the way. They were sitting back waiting, and it gave the Raiders some good blocking angles on them.
First and 10 at the 46-yard line as the ball is spotted now at 5 minutes, 39 seconds remaining in the first half. Oakland 10 and the Cincinnati Bengals 7. First round playoffs in the American Football Conference. Stabler. Tom Casanova from LSU came in to make the tackle. It is at the 47-yard line of Cincinnati. Gain of 7 It'll be second down and 3.
Again, Stabler with all the time he wants back there to throw. Cincinnati's going to have to start putting some pressure on. They haven't been a big club to sack the quarterback. They've only gotten to him 27 times this year. That's because they don't blitz very much.
Biani and Branch are double to the right side. However, the Oakland Raiders leave it on the ground. Pick up of a couple of yards on the play. Hubbard carried the ball down to the 45-yard line before Sherman White came in to make the stop. Going to be spotted, however, at the 46. That's a gain of only a yard and make it 3rd and 2. So now Oakland goes into their 3 tight end alignment. Bob Moore, Dave Casper, Warren Bankston, all 3 in there. Pete Banaszak has come in now as a running back. Stabler gives it off to Banaszak. He comes left and is pushed back. He got about a yard on the play, and Bob Brown was in to make the tackle, so it'll be 4th down coming now. 4th down and about a yard to go for the Oakland Raiders. They're in Cincinnati territory. However, Davis is coming out. Hart is coming off the field.
This is sort of I would think, a very tough gamble for the Raiders to take right now. If they make it, okay, but if they don't, it's going to give Cincinnati an excellent field position where they would have a chance of pinning them back down near the goal line.
They're going to go for it now. Banaszak and Davis for the running back. 4th and 1 for Oakland. A tight alignment here at the 45-yard line of Cincinnati. Cincinnati punching the defensive hand. Moving quickly, but McClair and he is offside. McClair made a quick move. He is offside, and that'll give Oakland the 1st down. It was Jim McClair, little linebacker, who had moved up and beat the snap.
I'm not so sure that what the Raiders were going to do there is keep delaying until they took too much time. In other words, trying to draw Cincinnati offside. If they took too much time, got the 5-yard penalty, they were going to punt the ball. But I think that was what they had designed in mind. They were going to take as long as they could, knowing that Cincinnati was going to be anxious, and it worked out all right.
1st and 10 now for the Oakland Raiders at the Cincinnati 40-yard line. Dropping back, Denny Stabler going to the right side, and wide open over there is his tight end, Bob Moore, who goes out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Benoit Parrish on the corner made the stop. It is at the 33 for 7. It'll be 2nd and 3. Red Biletnikoff coming in now. Biani started the ball game. Biletnikoff has played very little in the first half. We have 3 minutes, 54 seconds remaining in the first half. Oakland 10, Cincinnati 7. Here come the Raiders now. Biletnikoff going wide to the right side. It'll be Bryant in the slot right. Stabler with his running back evened up. Gives it to Banaszak. Pete Banaszak moves just short of the 30-yard line. Bob Brown made the stop. It appears to be just inches short of a 1st down. With a new ball in play here, and again, the 3 tight end alignment for John Madden's Oakland Raiders, who won 11 games and lost 3 this year, to win the championship of the Western Division of the AFC for the 8th time in 9 years. 3rd down, inches to go. Banaszak gets it, he gets the 1st down. It's at the 29-yard line, 1st and 10. Jim LeClaire in to make the tackle.
Sherman White shot through there. In a situation like that, you try to guess and get in the right spot. Sherman White shot through, but he missed Banaszak, and Paul Casanova is, or Tom Casanova, is shaken up for Cincinnati. That would be a tough man for them to lose. The strong safety. He's going to stay in there, but he got up wobbly.
1st and 10 Oakland at the Cincinnati 29. Receivers double to the right side. Here's Banaszak. Off tackle right, a big hold of the 20 to the 15. Banaszak still going to the 10-yard line. Finally brought down by Ken Riley. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 10 now for the Oakland Raiders. A big hold. 19-yard gain. Oakland back into the huddle now. They're leading by a score of 10 to 7. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to play as we approach the automatic timeout at the 2-minute warning. Here comes Metnikoff, far to the left side. That's Cliff Frank in the slot left. Running back to even up. Stabler handing it off to Banaszak. Banaszak gets 2 to the 8-yard line. It'll be second down and 8. At the 8-yard line, Al Beauchamp and Ken Johnson in to make the tackle. The 2-minute warning now. Our stations need another 60 seconds. We'll be back after this.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and Los Angeles Rams employed devastating defenses and record-shattering rushing performances to win the NFL playoff games on Saturday and assure themselves of berths in next week's conference championship game. The Rams defeated St. Louis 35-23, and the Steelers, who scored 2 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes, routed Baltimore 28-10. Franco Harris rushed for 153 yards and scored 1 touchdown to provide virtually the entire Steeler offense, while the Pittsburgh defense scored 1 touchdown and set up another to turn the Cinderella Colts into bumpkins. Harris's rushing yardage was a playoff record that lasted only until a couple of hours as Rams Lawrence McCutcheon ground out 202 yards on 37 carries. Also for Los Angeles, Jack Youngblood and Bill Simpson each returned interceptions for long touchdowns, and reserve quarterback Ron Jaworski ran for 1 touchdown and he passed for another. Tampa Bay Buccaneers will pick first in the annual college player draft on February 3rd, and the Seattle Seahawks will get the top selection in the January 23rd expansion draft to start the 2 new franchises.
The Raiders showing what they're made out of, come right back. Of course, this is shades of the game yesterday after St. Louis had scored. The Rams hit them with a big play. Here the Raiders come charging back and are at the 8-yard line where they've got a second down and goal. So Banaszak now comes out as the Raiders plan some new strategy.
Marv Hubbard is in and fading back now from the 8-yard line. Is Stabler throws out to the left line and he gets taken by his tight end for a touchdown. Bob Moore for the touchdown. Bob Moore on the 8-yard pass. Vinny Stabler. Ken Riley made the tackle at the flag. Big Bob Moore, a 220-pounder, trying to better from Stanford, took it in. The quickly is 16-7 and the conversion attempt coming. Marv Hubbard throwing a big block on the play for Stabler, giving him time to get it off. It'll be Stabler holding for Blanda now on the conversion attempt. Stabler hand out stretch, waits for the snap. He gets it, puts it down. Blanda puts it up. And another point for the 48-year-older, but there is a penalty marker that has to be checked out. Now the indication that the penalty was offside against Cincinnati declined. The point is good. So the score is Oakland 17, Cincinnati 7. Our stations need another 30 seconds. We'll be back after this.
Well, this game here is the last of the semifinal encounters. The winner of this contest next Sunday will meet the defending Super Bowl champion Cincinnati, or rather the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the American Football Conference Championship. And the winners of the 2 NFC games to meet next week, of course, now being the Los Angeles Rams, who defeated the Cardinals, and the Dallas Cowboys, who today upset the Minnesota Vikings. The Rams and the Cowboys next week for the NFC Championship.
And bounding on right into the end zone.
The Raiders put one on Cincinnati there to regain their 10-point lead. Cincinnati with 1:54 remaining here in the first half to see what they can do about getting another 7 points.
Great guy kicking off. Jackson Wendell Elliott, the deep in front of Fritz, and is bounding on right into the end zone. It'll be a touchback brought out and put in play first and 10 at the 20-yard line.
Raiders got a good break on that one. It looked as if they were going out of bounds, so they'd have to kick it over again, but instead, when it hit, twisted back into play, went into the end zone, and so Cincinnati will have to start from its own 20.
Incidentally, that last conversion kick by George Blanda gives him 2,007 points in his career. This is the 225th game in the professional ranks for George Blanda. Cincinnati first and 10 at their own 20 minutes, 54 seconds left in the first half as Ken Anderson brings them up. He's got Essex Johnson and Booby Clark, his running back. They're evened up. Wide receivers left and right. Now he starts Booby Clark in motion to the outside. Anderson over the middle and complete at the 35 and all the way up to the 38-yard line. Bill Filippiano, the defender there, as Myers came in to make the catch. He's on a left set. They're going to go without a huddle here now. First and 10. The clock is running. They have the ball at the 38-yard line, their own 38. Wide receivers left and right. Curtis right, Myers left. Anderson drops back, travels out to the right side. And he's going to run it this time to the 40-45. Ducked his head just in time to prevent the avalanche at the 47-yard line. Art Thomas with the tackler. Timeout, Cincinnati Bengals. 1 minute, 22 seconds left in the half. Our stations need another 30 seconds. We'll be back after this.
Big 8 football took it on the chin again. Colorado blew a 21-7 halftime lead Saturday and lost to Texas 38-21 in the Bluebonnet Bowl as the Buffaloes became the third Big 8 conference team to be victimized in postseason play in 2 days. Kansas and Nebraska lost on Friday. Brothers Tim and Earl Campbell were outstanding for the Longhorns. Tim, a defensive end, blocked the punt and recovered the ball in the Colorado end zone, and running back Earl gained 95 yards on 19 carries.
Anderson, incurring that ball, elected to stay inbounds to turn upfield rather than head for the out of bounds. Now, the only question was that he didn't know who was following him. He'd seen some Raiders go by him one time, and he didn't know if they were catching up. He had a wall of blockers that would have given him a little more yardage had he come to the outside rather than stay in the center of the field, but he picked up some anyway, and so now with 1:22 left, the Bengals on the move.
Second and 2 at the 36. The Bengals with the ball in their own territory. Wide receiver left, that's Myers. Now a penalty marker is thrown, and Anderson is sacked. There was trouble with the formation. The wide receiver moved. Then they sent it back in motion. It was Jim Tunney's flag thrown. Hendricks was in there to sack Anderson. And so they'll likely decline the penalty and take the ball back there because he is sacked at the 34. His own 34-yard line.
Mistakes again that you can't afford to make. That's one that cost the Bengals. They were second and about 2 yards to go. They could do a few other things. The Raiders couldn't be exactly sure what they were going to do. Now the Raiders can be definitely certain, and they send in a couple of defensive backs. Charles Phillips and Willie Brown go in to help out the defensive secondary.
It is 3rd and 14 as the Bengals have the ball on their own 34. The in-motion penalty declined, of course, by Oakland, so it's a down count. As it Curtis far to the right side, Myers to the left. Now they take the handoff. Anderson has the ball, and he guns it, and it's incomplete. He was trying to thread a needle to Myers. The ball was deflected, and Jack Tatum was trying to get to it. So 20 minutes comes on now for the Cincinnati Bengals. 1:14 on the clock in the first half. The hand again is for the Oakland defense. Yanni's going back deep now with Neil Cozy to receive it. Yanni upfield, and Cozy the lone deep man. He receives the punt of Dave Green, who goes back inside his own 20-yard line. Oakland is leading a 10-point advantage, 17-7. We're late in the second quarter in Oakland, California. Bright sunny afternoon here. Johnson snap, taken by Green, gets it off. Neil Cozy retreats, takes it at the 23. Went left to the 25, turns upfield to the 30, 35, inside the 40, 45 to the 50. Goes to the 45, 40, 35, 30, knocks out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Penalty marker thrown, it should have been slipping on the run back. Now penalty marker thrown, trailing Neil Cozy.
On the near side of the field, and one of the Bengals was knocked completely out of bounds, and I think he was knocked out on the clip.
The officials in conference now about the penalty marker thrown well back upfield near the midfield marker. They're still in conference. Jim Tunney waiting to signal, tripping. Just did.
Tripping is what they call it.
Yeah. A tripping penalty.
Upshaw's involved in an argument with the official trying to explain it his way.
Neil Cozy is escorted off the field by his teammates. He wanted to get into the argument. Now Jim Tunney picked up the football. He's taking it back to the 46-yard line of Oakland. Then we'll mark off the penalty. Stabler there gets the answer from Tunney as the ball is being taken to the inbound marker. Started 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line. So the Raiders have the the ball at their own 30. First and 10 on a tripping penalty against Charles Phillips. Former Southern Cal star. We have 59 seconds left to play in the first half. Oakland 17, Cincinnati 7. Here comes Steve Banaszak into the backfield. While Hubbard is coming out. Sonny now marks the ball, ready for play. There goes Cincinnati to the right side, and Cliff Frank will be on the slot right. Bruce Coslett is the tight end to the left side. And off to Steve Banaszak. He comes off the left side to the 32-yard line. It'll be second and 8 at the 32 as Chairman White, who played his college football at the University of California at Berkeley, came in to make the tackle.
Here's where you really have to be able to read your keys if you're a defensive ball player, because you've got Banaszak in there who runs the ball up the middle. You've got the wide receivers with great speed. If you read, run, and they're trying to fool you, you got a problem, because you're going to find Branch downfield about 50 yards taking a pass over your head. So it's difficult in this spot for Cincinnati.
Banaszak and Clarence Davis. It's Banaszak again, and he goes over his own left guard and is stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain. It'll be third and 8. For the Oakland Raiders at their 32, Bob Brown came in to make the tackle. 8 seconds and the clock is running. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's the gun. That's the end of the first half with the score. Oakland 17, Cincinnati 7.
Other college football played on Saturday. Southern University came back from a 12-0 deficit to beat South Carolina State 15-12 in the Pelican Bowl in New Orleans. In the fourth quarter, Southern pulled ahead. James Johnson passed to Isaac Higgins for 36 and 39 yards to set up a 9-yard scoring run by Michael Bryant after the quarterback had lofted a 29-yard TD toss to Ron Steele. A lot of professional basketball played on Saturday. The Buffalo Braves lifted their suspension of the scoring leader Bob McAdoo just in time for the Big Center to lead the team to a 130-105 home victory against the Philadelphia 76ers. McAdoo scored only 18 points, but he grabbed 13 rebounds and had 5 assists and 2 steals. McAdoo was suspended Wednesday because team officials suspected him of faking a back injury. In other NBA games, Houston stopped Golden State 113-110. Los Angeles beat Seattle 109-100. Chicago dropped Detroit 112-99. Cleveland downed Washington 106-100. Atlanta got by Milwaukee 87-82. And the New York Knicks topped New Orleans 108-101. Over in the American Basketball Association, Denver bombed the New York Nets 130-113, and Indiana dumped Virginia 97-94. Total of 6 games on tap in the National Basketball Association this evening. Cleveland is playing host to Buffalo. Kansas City is also hosting the Detroit Pistons. Phoenix travels to Milwaukee to play the Bucks. Golden State is at Portland. The Houston Rockets travel up to Seattle to do battle with the Supersonics, and it'll be the Boston Celtics against the Lakers in Los Angeles. 2 games on tap in the American Basketball Association. The front-running Indiana Pacers are battling the Denver Nuggets, and the basement-dwelling Virginia Squires are in St. Louis against the Spirit. So that's a rundown of professional basketball played yesterday and what is on tap for this evening. Right now, a 10-point lead for the Raiders in this AFC playoff battle, 17-7. And the winner of this game, of course, to go on to meet the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game next Sunday.
Taking a look at the scoring here in the first half, the Oakland Raiders appeared as if they might just blast Cincinnati right out of the stadium in the first half. George Blanda missed a field goal on the Raiders' first offensive try. Then Blanda, 48-year-old leading scorer in National Football League history, kicked a 27-yarder to give the Raiders a 3-0 lead. In the second quarter, Stabler threw to Mike Ciani for a touchdown that put the Raiders in front 10-0. Then came the turnaround that kept Cincinnati in the ballgame because the Raiders were driving for another score, but Ciani dropped the pass at about the 5-yard line when it appeared he could take it in for a touchdown. The Raiders had to settle for a field goal try. That field goal was blocked by Cincinnati out to about the 35-yard line. They took over there and drove to a touchdown with Stan Fritz going in from 1 yard out to make it 10-7. The Raiders came right back, culminating a drive on a Stabler to Moore pass for 8 yards, and it was 17-7 as Blanda added the extra point, his 5th point of the day, and 2007 in his career. And the score right now, the Raiders 17 and the Cincinnati Bengals 7. More of our halftime feature after this.
It's been a pretty disappointing season so far for the St. Louis Blues, but there's one thing the NHL team excels in, and that's shorthanded goals. The Blues got their league-leading 11th shorthanded score last night in a 4-2 triumph over the Vancouver Canucks in St. Louis. Chuck Lafleur poked home his 7th shorthanded goal of the season in the second period and added another tally in the final stanza. Also in the NHL Saturday night, Pittsburgh edged Atlanta 3-2. Montreal skated past the Minnesota North Stars 2-1. Chicago buried the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1, and Los Angeles crushed Kansas City 9-4. In the WHA, Phoenix trounced Denver 10-0. Houston shut out the Minnesota Fighting Saints 5-0. Quebec crushed Edmonton 6-3. Indianapolis nipped Cincinnati 2-1, and Cleveland blanked the Toronto Toros 5-0. Those 3 shutouts in the WHA on Saturday. Right now, more halftime activities going on out at the Oakland Coliseum. Let's go back and join Lon Simmons.
Next Saturday at Stanford Stadium, here in this general vicinity, the 51st annual Shrine East-West game, one of the classics of the All-Star game, and the oldest, I guess, of the All-Star games. They're certainly very close to being the oldest. We'll find that out as we're going to talk to the executive director of the East-West game, Dick Buse. Dick in charge of the media, and that game also will be broadcast here on our mutual network. Dick, I said the East-West Shrine game was the oldest of the All-Star games. I might have been lying a bit. I don't know.
Now, we're the oldest of the All-Star games. We're number 2. Many of the games played around New Year's Day. We're 51 years old. The only one that has any seniority is the most old.
I'd say there's been some question as to whether the East-West Shrine game has been losing some of its interest for the fans in the area. Has that been wrapped up this year? Do you think that the game is recapturing the fancy of the football public?
Well, this year, we think that this game will once again renew the title of football's finest hour. The last couple of years, why it's gone down just a fraction. This year, why the enthusiasm is just tremendous. The college football is doing great in the area. We've sold 50,000 seats. If we get a day like this afternoon here in Oakland with a clear sky, we'll do 60,000, 70,000 people, and it will be this football's finest hour going back many years again.
With so many teams going to the bowl game, it cuts down on the number of stars that you can select from, the number of schools you can select from. But this year's East-West lineup is fantastic with the number of stars you've got. In fact, the fellow that a lot of people thought should have been the Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, we've got Chuck Muncy, and we're very happy to have him. His coach, Mike White, is with us, too. We have players from 45 different schools in the country. We have Big Ten people. We have them from all over the country. We think these are the 2 of the best teams that we've had in many, many years. We have the 3 top quarterbacks in the United States. In Pete Swick, who's beat Jim Plunkett's record for total offense. We have Craig Penrose of San Diego State. And we have Steve Meyer of New Mexico, and also Jeff Grant of South Carolina. Chuck Muncy is just great, and Mike White down at Stanford and the workout so far, and he's just doing wonderful, and he's just going to have a great game.
That is probably one of the raps given to an all-star game, is that offensively the teams don't have enough time to prepare. So consequently, it's more of a defensive-oriented game. But with the top passers you've got, a guy can throw a pass whether he's been out there a week or 2 days or 2 hours, I guess. And these guys know how to throw the ball.
It's a matter of timing primarily. Both Mike White and Charlie McClellan, who's coaching the East team, are going to put that ball up in the air, and we hope to score a lot of points. In an all-star game, we feel the fans want to come and see excitement, a lot of points on the board, and we're really stressing the passing and some explosive running this year. We think it's going to be a great game.
Many of the really great football players of the past
Mike Cincinnati, who scored a touchdown and might have had another one there. Dave Dalby, a very fine center who replaced Jim Otto, and Mark Van Eken. Cincinnati had 7 of them, topped by Isaac Curtis, the wide receiver there, Bill Kohler, Sherman White, Bernard Jackson. All those boys played in the East-West game. And in fact, the Cincinnati kicker out here today who's done a fine job, Dave Green. We have his brother from Ohio, Mike Green, who's going to do the kicking for the East team this year. Roger Staubach, who threw that pass to upset Minnesota today, is a former East-West alumnus. And many of the really great stars of all of these pro teams, including the 4 playoff teams, have been alumni of East-West games.
Next Saturday, the East-West Shrine game at Stanford University. We're talking to Dick Stute, Executive Director of the Press and Media, for that Shrine East-West game.
Well, right now, more concern, though, is the game at the moment. The Oakland Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals battling for the final playoff game left in the National Football League playoffs. The 3 victors thus far have been the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, the Los Angeles Rams, and the surprising Dallas Cowboys. It's halftime at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum in Oakland, California. The score, the Raiders 17, the Bengals 7. You're listening to the AFC playoffs and the AFRCS Parade of Sports.
This is news from American Contemporary Radio. I'm Warren Dean. The postal increase hassle. Details on that story in 60 seconds.
Here's an important message for short-timers from the National Alliance of Businessmen. Have you started looking for a civilian job or given any thought to your future? It's tough getting a job these days. If you're like a lot of veterans who didn't plan ahead, you may go from the chow line to the unemployment line. You owe it to yourself to compare your civilian job opportunities against those you now have. The time to think about a new job is before you leave the service. Seek out your education and career counseling office today. The price is right. All you have to do is spend some hours of your time. If available at all, it could cost hundreds of dollars or even more to get the same services from a private employment agency or job counselor. So invest a few hours at your education and career office. It could pay big dividends by changing the way you spend the rest of your life.
The Federal Appeals Court will consider whether or not to overrule Judge John Sirica's ruling barring a postal increase. The increase from 10 to 13 cents was to have been effective this week. In Syracuse, New York, Democrat James Hamley of the House Postal Subcommittee tells what would happen if the appeal is denied.
It could delay for possibly another 100 days the imposition of the rate hike, which would mean a total of about $700 million in the way of lost revenue. That, of course, would be added to the $1.4 billion deficit, which really leaves the institution in a bankrupt-prone position.
Congressman Hamley of New York says Congress might have to bail out the postal system with a special appropriation. Commissioner Alexander Schmidt of the Food and Drug Administration says his agency is tightening quality control procedures involving approval of new drugs. Schmidt says some drug companies could be falsifying data to get new drugs on the market. And Schmidt says the FDA may ban so-called sequential birth control pills, Oregon, Orthonovum SQ, and Norguen. Rescue units are en route to the location of a twin-engine plane spotted this afternoon 20 miles west of Boulder in the Rockies. The plane has been missing since Friday with 9 people on board. It was spotted this afternoon in Colorado. No word on survivors. It's a matter of praying and continuing the rescue work, according to India's labor minister. He's referring to the 370 miners near Calcutta trapped following an explosion yesterday, which flooded the mine with water from a nearby reservoir. The head of the National Education Association says his group may support a presidential candidate next year, but it will not be President Ford. John Ryer says the president has a poor voting record on social and educational issues over the past 25 years. Ryer also says the government should spend more on education by reorganizing some of its spending, and he gives these examples.
The $70,000 to study the perspiration on the brows of Australian Aborigines, $20,000 to find out why children fall off tricycles, $13.9 million to maintain military golf courses, $350,000 to study frisbees. I think there are a great many places where we could reorder that.
Ryer on ABC's Issues and Answers says the NEA proposes the federal government pay 33% of the cost of education in the U.S. rather than the 7% it now pays. The White House dander may be up over a cartoon in the Denver Post showing President Ford skiing backward with a caption indicating his ski instructor and his campaign manager must be the same person. Spokesman Ron Nesson objected today. He says efforts to portray the president as awkward could cost him votes. Governor Meldrum Thompson has ordered officials to shape up the state prison in Concord, New Hampshire by February 1st. That's where prisoners rioted over dinner on Christmas Day. The governor blamed the prison trustees and Warden Raymond Helsmo as being inadequate for that job in Concord, New Hampshire. This is ABC Contemporary Radio.
This is Early Thomas of the New York Jets. When I was growing up, getting the money together for 4 years of college was a hassle and a half. But today, you're in luck. Today, you don't need 4 years of college to have a college grad's career. All it takes is a year or two of technical education. Send for a free booklet called 25 Technical Careers. Write Careers, Washington, D.C., 20202.
A public service message of this station and the Advertising Council. That's the latest news. I'm Warren Dean for American Contemporary Radio. A service of ABC News.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
We're at halftime at the Oakland Coliseum in Oakland, California. The AFC playoff game between the Raiders and Bengals finds the hometown Raiders ahead 17-7. But before we go any further, this sad note, as we find out from NBC television that the father of Fran Tarkenton passed away. He died this afternoon of a heart attack while watching his son and the Minnesota Vikings lose to the Dallas Cowboys in that NFC playoff game this afternoon. Again, Fran Tarkenton's father died this afternoon of a heart attack. Now let's go back to the Coliseum.
Teams are back on the field, ready for the second half. This is going to be a tough second half for Ken Anderson, I would imagine. With the Raiders with a 10-point lead, they have been putting quite a bit of pressure on Anderson. They will, I'm sure, put a great deal more. What the Bengals are going to have to do is start getting to the Oakland quarterback, Ken Stabler. Stabler has had all the time he needed to throw, and with the receivers that the Raiders have, you just can't give him that much time back there to release the ball. The first half statistics, Oakland had 16 first downs to 7 for Cincinnati. Oakland had 225 total yards to just 97 for Cincinnati. Oakland had 41 offensive plays to 27 for the Bengals. It was 83 yards rushing and 142 passing for Oakland, 43 rushing, 54 passing for Cincinnati. Stabler, 11 for 15 for 142 yards. Anderson, 7 for 10 for 80 yards. Ruby Clark, 3 carries for 21 yards to lead the Cincinnati rushers. Banaszak, 10 carries for 35 yards to lead Oakland. Bob Moore, the leading receiver for Oakland, and the game with 4 catches. And Ruby Clark had 3 catches for Cincinnati. The score 17-7 in favor of the Raiders. We're set for the second half kickoff. Once again, Lindsey Nelson.
All right, Lon Summers, it's Lee Guy. Back to kickoff for North Jackson. Is deep. It is sailing on back. And Jackson takes it 2 yards deep in the end zone. Goal line, 5 to the 10 to the 15 to the 20. And he is clotheslined by Charles Phillips. Phillips clotheslined him at the 20. He fell forward to the 22-yard line. They'll start first and 10 right there.
Hang your watch out on that one. He got him right under the chin, and that was as far as he went. Part of his body went, but his head stayed right there.
Ken Anderson was 10 for 7, 80 yards passing in the first half of the ball game. The Bengals failed by 10 points. I think Curtis far to the right side. He did not have a reception in the first half. Joyner is far to the left side. Anderson takes the handoff, got back to throw, and he's going to be sacked. He is sacked. Back at the 15-yard line by Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks at the 15, a loss of 7, second and 17.
Cincinnati sent only 2 deep men, sent only 2 men downfield. They kept the backs in, but they still couldn't keep the Raiders off their quarterback, Anderson.
So now, it is second down and 17 yards to go for Paul Brown's Cincinnati Bengals.
who have never been past the first round of any playoff. Twice previously they were defeated in the first round. Once by Baltimore 17-10, once by Miami 34-16. Wide receiver to the left side. Now that's Isaac Curtis. Starting in motion back to the inside. Dropping back is Anderson. Goes to Joyner, and he's at the 22-yard line. Struggling, but he can't go from there. He drops at the 22. Hanging on to him is Alonzo Thomas from the University of Southern California. It'll be 3rd and 10 now at the 22-yard line. Bright sunny afternoon here in Oakland, California. Game time temperature was 63 degrees. And now expecting a pass for sure here. Oakland is realigning the defense with 6 deep backs. Anderson slowly brings Cincinnati up to the line. That's Isaac Curtis in motion back to the right side. He comes to a set right. Anderson takes the handoff, hides the ball, drops back to throw, steps up. He's going to run it, but he's pulled out. He could not get past Art Tom, the big lineman from Syracuse. At the line of scrimmage, no gain. And so it's the Oakland defense that has forced Cincinnati into 4th and 10. The punting unit comes on. The hand is for the Oakland defense. Neil Coates is dropping back to receive the punt off Dave Green. Dave Green kicked 4 times for a 37-yard average in the first half. Waiting for the snap now from center Bob Johnson. He gets it away. Coates moves up, takes the catch to the 46, to the 50, to the 45 of Cincinnati. Coates to the 40, still going to the 36-yard line of Cincinnati. 1st and 10 for the Oakland Raiders at the Cincinnati 36. And tempers are flaring. There's contact along the sideline. Novak made the tackle. Order is restored now.
That was really designed for a return. It was a low kick. Got to Colsey in a hurry, and he got to the 35-yard line of the Bengals in a hurry.
34-yard kick and a 20-yard return. 1st and 10 at the 35. Oakland leading 17-7 in excellent field position here. We're in the 3rd quarter. Gianni going to the right side, Cliff Bright to the left. Marv Hubbard is running back along with Clarence Davis. Marv Hubbard to the left guard to the 30, and the big man pass to the 28. Picked up 7, it'll be 2nd and 3. Jim LeClaire, the middle linebacker, brought him down. There's a Cincinnati man stretched out, and that is LeClaire. So it's an official timeout for the injury. Official timeout for the injury here. So with the score, Oakland 17, Cincinnati 7, there's a timeout on the field.
Bob Lemon is the new pitching coach of the New York Yankees. The 55-year-old Lemon, who had 7 20-game seasons with the Cleveland Indians, is a leading Hall of Fame candidate in next month's voting. Was a scout last season for Atlanta. The former Kansas City Royal manager replaces the ailing Whitey Ford on the coaching staff. Despite years of a mismatch, champion Muhammad Ali is determined to go ahead with his title fight against Belgium heavyweight Jean-Pierre Coupon. The European Boxing Commission has refused to sanction the February 28th bout, which is still hunting for a location. Coupon, winner of 21 of his 24 fights, is so little known that when the fight was first announced, the spokesman for Ali identified him as Koopman. A horse owned in part by movie actor Rod Steiger upset a horse co-owned by TV star Telly Savalas in the $56,000 California Breeders' Stakes at Santa Anita Saturday. Stained glass outgalloped Telly's Pop, the West's top 2-year-old, and 4 other juveniles in the 7-furlong sprint.
And tomorrow night we'll be in the state of Florida in Jacksonville to bring you the Gator Bowl football game. Al Wester and I'll be there to bring you the play-by-play on Mutual tomorrow night. The Gator Bowl from Jacksonville, Florida. LeClaire is up now, being assisted over toward the sideline. And Glenn Cameron is coming at middle linebacker for Paul Brown, Cincinnati Bengals. The Oakland Raiders have the ball, 2nd and 3. They have it at the Cincinnati 28-yard line. The winner of this game plays the Pittsburgh Steelers, the defending world champions, in Pittsburgh next Sunday, that's January 4th, And we'll bring you that AFC Championship game here on Mutual, on many of these Mutual stations.
Cameron in their middle linebacker is a rookie. He's from Florida. We keep talking about Florida here. And he's a rookie, 231 pounds, 6'2".
Here's a handoff, and it is being taken to the left side by Clarence Davis all the way down to the 12-yard line. Bernard Jackson made the stop. Clarence Davis found a big hole and raced through to the 12, first and 10 at the 12-yard line. The Oakland Raiders trying to put this game away here early in the third quarter. A gain of 16 yards for Clarence Davis, formerly of the University of Southern California.
The Raiders have gone heavily for USC and Ohio State players, figuring if you go to the Rose Bowl, you got to be good. They have 8 from those two schools on the team. 5 from SC, 3 from Ohio State.
Worked out rather well for them. This is Marv Hubbard, the big man. He gets through the 6-yard line. Stretches his body out, trying to get it to the 5. It's going to be marked outside the 5. Tom Casanova and Bernard Jackson made the stop. Here comes Pete Banaszak in now. It'll be second down at 4 yards to go at the 6. Pete Banaszak has rushed for 16 touchdowns this year. They bring him down when they get down there close to later. Siani's to the right side, and so is Cliff Rice. Rice is in a slot. They give it to Banaszak, and it is touchdown! Touchdown! It is a touchdown. It was a late call. Casanova talked to the official about it. Tom Casanova trying to get to the official. It was a late call. A touchdown for Banaszak. But the Oakland Raiders were on the scoreboard here in the third quarter to make it 23-7 with a conversion attempt coming. And George Brander is in to attempt it. He has scored 2,007 points in his fabulous career. 26th year in professional football. 48 years of age. Kenny Stabler will hold for him. Stabler and Brander both played for Bear Bryant. Stabler at Alabama, Brander at Kentucky. The kick is up, and it's good. So there's a timeout with the score. Oakland 24, Cincinnati 7, and now this works.
Well, a lot of college basketball tournaments around the country played on Saturday in first round action in the all-college tournament. LIU 69-62 over Long Beach State and Eastern Kentucky 74-62 over Oklahoma City. In the Big 8 tourney, it was Colorado 61-59 over Oklahoma and Kansas 69-66 over Nebraska. In the Far West Classic, Texas Tech 59-54 over Colorado State and Duquesne 78-74 over Oregon. Semi-final round action in the ECAC Holiday Festival. St. John's 71-59 over South Carolina and top-ranked Indiana 97-61 over Manhattan. In the consolation game, St. Bonaventure 84-73 over Columbia. Final round action in the Evansville Invitational. The championship game went to Weber State 78-71 over Mercer. The consolation game to Austin Peay 105-81 over Evansville. Gator Bowl championship in overtime. Wake Forest 78-75 over Florida. The consolation game to Jacksonville 91-90 over St. Joe's.
The Raiders with a healthy Ken Stabler taking apart the Cincinnati defense, leading 24-7 now as they get ready to kick off. And it appears that the Raiders at the moment certainly have this one well in hand.
Ray Goff, the University of Southern Mississippi, puts it up to Lamar Parrish. At the goal line, Parrish to the 5, to the 10. And he is there. The ball gathered in and retreated all the way to the 5-yard line. Charlie Phillips is down there to make the tackle. Ball almost squirted out of Parrish's hand. He gathered it in, but was retreating. Instead of being marked up at the 9-yard line, it'll be first and 10 at the 9-yard line.
Well, that time the blockers trying to set up the lane for Parrish left too soon. The Raiders poured in from the far side, and he never could catch up to the lane. Bradshaw.
First and 10 at the 9-yard line now. Cincinnati in poor field position where they've done most of the day. Ken Anderson, the quarterback. And he hands this one off. It is taken by Linville Elliott. Monty Johnson, the middle linebacker, in to make the tackle. Elliott's a 205-pound running back who averaged 4.3 and picking up 308 yards during the season. He is from Northeast Missouri. Picked up about a yard on that play, making second down and 9 at the 10. 10 minutes, 28 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Second part is at the 15-yard line. down at the 15-yard line. That is Linville Elliott in motion to the left side. Dropping back now is Anderson. Looks down to the flat and throws it over the head of Linville Elliott, but there's a penalty marker on the play. Across the field, the penalty marker's down. Jim Tunney, the referee now, indicating holding against Oakland. So that will give Cincinnati a first down and better field position.
They've been doubling up, have the Raiders, on Curtis most of the day, and as a consequence, Curtis has not been able to catch the ball. The Raiders, conscious that Anderson's going to have to throw when they were down 17-70, they were conscious of that. Now 24-7, they know he's going to have to put the ball in the air. So it's going to be difficult for him to get the ball to Curtis now.
Curtis goes wide to the left side. He played his college football at the University of California. Is personally acquainted with most of the Raiders from his experience of living in Oakland, which he does in the off-season. For instance, in at the 25, Trumpy in motion to the left side. Linville Elliott gets the pitch. Boobie Clark goes a block for him. Elliott goes across the 25-yard line. Gets it on up to the 29. Gerald Irons in to make the tackle from Maryland Eastern Shore. Going to be short of a first down. It'll be second and about 1 at the 29.
I assume that Cincinnati figures right now that the Raiders are going to give them the run, so they'll just go ahead and take it, seeing as there's a lot of time left here in the third quarter. 9 minutes and 35 seconds remaining, so they're probably just going to take that short stuff that the Raiders are giving them. Hope to catch up later.
It is offensive Paul Brown shading his eyes from the bright sunlight, facing in front of the bench of the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's the play going up the middle. Moving out to about the 33 for a first down. It is Boobie Clark carrying for the first down at the 34-yard line. Gerald Irons and Monty Johnson came in to make the tackle. That's Cincinnati's ninth first down of the ball game. 8 minutes, 58 seconds left in the third quarter. Oakland 24, Cincinnati 7. Here comes Jordan to the right side. Isaac to the left side. Isaac Curtis, that is. Trumpy is up in the slot left. He's in motion now back to the right side. Anderson has the ball, looking to throw up the middle, and it is a penalty marker. A penalty marker. He was trying to get it to Trumpy. Trumpy was hit up there at the 43-yard line by Jack Tatum from All-American at Ohio State. A penalty marker immediately thrown, and referee Jim Tunney indicates interference against the Oakland Raiders. It'll be first and 10 for Cincinnati, just outside the Oakland 42.
Tatum just tackled him a little too early. Tatum wanted to make the hit just as the ball reached him, jar it loose, but he hit him just a bit too soon, and that was the interference call.
Isaac Curtis goes to the left side, joined to the right side now. Anderson brings him up, and the running back evens up. That's Boobie Clark and Linville Elliott. Now motion back to the inside by Isaac Curtis. Now Anderson looks, and he hits his tight end Cosner on the far side. He's inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. Bill Kelsey, Gerald Irons on the tackle.
That time Anderson had Curtis open, and Curtis coming in motion towards the line of scrimmage. He had him open, but he didn't release quickly enough. Then the Raiders recovered, and he had to lay that one off, but he still picked up almost 10 yards.
Second down and a yard to go now as the ball is spotted on the 33. Elliott and Clark is still the running back for Anderson, the quarterback. Motion to the outside by Linville Elliott. And now Boobie Clark gets the first down inside the 30 and on to the 28-yard line. Boobie Clark carrying Gerald Irons, coming in to make the tackle. Going to be spotted near the 27, first and 10 for Cincinnati. Oakland leading 24-7. Paul Brown sending in the next play now. Paul Brown, 67 years of age, having begun his pro coaching career in 1946 with the Cleveland Browns, a team named for him. Elliott and Clark evened up. Elliott in motion to the left side. Anderson dropping back to set. That goes to Elliott out in the left flat. One-on-one. He breaks one tackle, and he gets on inside the 20. Stretches himself out to near the 18-yard line. Phil Filippiano from Bowling Green made the stop. It'll be second and about a yard to go. Ball is spotted inside the 19-yard line.
Anderson throwing that pass, I would think that sooner or later the Raiders with two men over there, one of them is going to take the gamble of maybe stepping in for the interception. You're also taking the gamble that he steps by you for 6 points. But if they have double coverage on that man out there, if they can get two men over there, they might go for the interception.
Double tight end, and Fritz is a running back. That Curtis in motion back across to the left side. And there's Booby Clark for the first down, and he's just inside the 15-yard line. Monty Johnson brought him down. First and 10 for the Bengals. That's the 15 of the Oakland Raiders. 6 minutes, 13 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Clark has carried 6 downs for 34 yards this afternoon.
Bob Johnson, the center, was trying to block for him and did block for him, but he got held up in the middle, and Clark was a little bit too close to him. He tried to cut it the outside. He could have made quite a bit more yardage, but he ran into Johnson and knocked him off balance.
Going to the left, Isaac Curtis is flanked to the right side. Dropping back is Ken Anderson. Puts it up to Linville Elliott, incomplete. Covering out there was Phil Filippiano, so it's going to be second and 10 at the 15. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is Mutual, your network for news and sports.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
FCN, Canal Zone.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Lon Simmons and the Mutual crew. Here at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Bright, warm day. Sun is shining brightly. And the Oakland Raiders are leading Cincinnati by a score of 24-7 in the third quarter. Second and 10 for Cincinnati at the Oakland 15. Running back to the I formation. This is Booby Clark. Penalty marker is thrown.
I think Oakland might have been offside to see if they're going to call Cincinnati for drawing them off, but two of the Raiders jumped.
Pick up about a yard on the carry, but the penalty is against Oakland, and it was offside. That'll move the ball down further into Oakland territory. Puts it at the 10-yard line. Makes it second down and 5 at the 10. Anderson today has completed 10 passes of 14 thrown for 105 yards. Came into the game as the leading passer in the National Football League, holding the conference lead and the league lead in passing. Having completed more than 60% of the passes he has thrown this season. They're in a double wing now. Booby Clark is the lone suspect. Beg your pardon, they move into an I with Linville Elliott deep. Here's Anderson dropping back. And he throws incomplete. Down off the 5-yard line.
Pardon me, Lindsay. They were trying to set up a screen, I believe, in there. It was sort of a strange screen. They were lucky that they didn't get called for an illegal man downfield because Johnson, the blocker, was out in front of that and looked like he was across the line of scrimmage. Monty Johnson, our linebacker for the Raiders, is shaken up.
He's getting attention now as we have an official's timeout. Monty Johnson is stretched out.
With a score, Oakland 24, Cincinnati 7. There's a timeout on the field.
Checking other college basketball championship classics played on Saturday in the championship game of the Louisville Classic. Louisville defeated Texas A&M 102-88. Kentucky State won the consolation game over Seattle 88-81. In the Motor City Classic championship game, Detroit won it 74-64 over DePaul. And in the consolation game, George Washington defeated Wyoming 57-55. In the Pillsbury Classic championship game, Minnesota 80-74 over Creighton. The consolation game to Butler 63-50 over Penn State. In the Ocean State Classic, the championship game to Rhode Island, upsetting San Francisco, a team at the moment that is ranked in the top 20, number 16 in the UPI top 20, 85-77. Niagara won the consolation game 77-59 over Brown. A lot of other games played around the country. They were not tournament games, but in the East, Bluefield State 70-61 over Mercyhurst, Concord 74-70 over Lenore-Rhine, Monmouth College 95-63 over Meridian, Montclair State 95-75 over Pace.
The Bengals lost their middle linebacker on the Raiders' last drive. Now Monty Johnson comes out on this play, and Mike Dennery goes in replacing him. Henry is a second-year man from southern Mississippi. 6'8", 226 pounds.
Third down and 5 for Cincinnati at the Oakland 10-yard line. Trumpy brought the play in from Paul Brown. That's Curtis in motion back to the left side. Now, Anderson looking. Steps up and decides to run it. Trying to get to the first down six, but I think he's a little short. He got to about the 6-yard line. Bill Filippiano came in to make the tackle.
Johnson's going right back in now, so he wasn't badly injured.
Monty Johnson right back in, the 3-year man from Nebraska. It's going to be fourth down and a yard to go. Fourth and a long yard with the ball at the 6-yard line. Trailing 24-7, of course. Paul Brown figures he must try to pick this one up. Dan Fisk was coming out for the next play, but he's going off the field. Ruby Clark and Renzel Elliott stay in the I formation. Low is that 4-down lineman. And here's Renzel Elliott for the first down and the touchdown. Renzel Elliott kept spinning and he took it in from the 6-yard line for the touchdown, Cincinnati. That's 24-13 with the conversion attempt coming.
Well, there was some excellent blocking on the right side of that Cincinnati offensive line. They really did a job blowing out the Raiders on that side. Again, I think the Raiders were probably anticipating a spot and just anticipated the wrong spot.
Ricky Davis is in the hole now, and Dave Green will attempt the conversion. Green was 40 for 45 during the regular season in points after. 4 minutes, 46 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Davis puts it down. Green boots it up, and it's good. So with the score, Oakland 24, Cincinnati 14, there's a timeout on the field.
Checking other scores now in college basketball on Saturday in the South. It was Duke 111-90 over Western Kentucky. LSU 89-85 over Stanford. Vanderbilt 75-71 over Boston College. Memphis State 97-66 over Cal Poly. And North Carolina State 79-74 over Auburn. In the Midwest, Bradley 63-50 over Kent State. Noah 94-70 over Tuskegee. Green Bay 54-44 over Winona State. Houston 72-68 over Dayton.
Earlier today, Minnesota was surprised, disappointed, and what other adjective you could think of to describe the fact that they were leading 14-10 with only about 40 seconds remaining, or 30 seconds remaining, and Roger Staubach hit Preston Pearson on a 50-yard touchdown pass that gave the Dallas Cowboys an upset come-from-behind 17-14 victory and projected them into the National Conference playoffs against the Los Angeles Rams, a break that the Rams didn't think they were going to get. They thought they would have to go to Bloomington, Minnesota. Not that there's anything wrong with Bloomington, but if you're going to play football, you'd rather play in the Coliseum this time of year than Bloomington, especially if you happen to be the Rams.
Here's Dave Green kicking off now. Hard is deep along with Clarence Davis. Clarence Davis moves up and takes the ball at the 14 to the 15, goes right to the 20, upfield to the 25-30, and he is stopped at the 35-yard line. So that is where the Oakland Raiders will start first and 10 at their own 35-yard line. 21-yard return by Clarence Davis. Casino is downfield to make the tackle. 4 minutes, 36 seconds left in the third quarter. So the question is, can the Bengal defense hold Oakland and get the football to take another shot? They trailed by 10 points.
Jim LeClaire is back in at middle linebacker, so he was out for that part of that one series that Oakland scored, but he's back in there now.
Cliff Frank to the left side. He is covered by Ken Riley. They leave it on the ground to Clarence Davis, and he moves across the 40 and on up to the 43-yard line. Picked up 8 yards. It'll be second and 2. Ron Pritchett from Arizona State made the tackle along with Tom Casanova from LSU. Casanova is a med student during the offseason. At LSU, he played everything. He played offense, defense. He was drafted by Paul Brown, who said at that time he didn't know where he was going to play him. He just played him at strong safety. Also used on the return team. This is Hubbard carrying, and he's trying to get to the first down stick. He's going to be marked at the 45. Tom Casanova again coming over to make the tackle. And it appears to be a first down. It's spotted right there on the line, and it is first and 10. First and 10 for the Raiders at their 45-yard line.
The 18
13th first down for the Oakland Raiders this afternoon. The winner of this game plays the defending world champion Pitt Steelers in Pittsburgh at Three Rivers Stadium next Sunday afternoon. That's January 4th, and you'll hear that game on Mutual. Now it's handed off, and it's a sweep to the left side to Davis, and he's pulled down for a loss. Back at the 42-43-yard line, Ken Riley coming in to make the tackle at the 43. It'll be 2nd and 12.
Middle linebacker LeClaire came over there to help out Riley on that tackle. Good pursuit, good lateral movement by LeClaire. He is able to handle the middle, but he's also able to slide to the outside and assist on those tackles out there.
Harold Hart is in. Harold Hart and Pete Banaszak are the running backs in now. Branch to the left side, Ciani to the right side. Ken Stabler, the quarterback, dropping straight back to the left-hander look. And he throws, and it is incomplete. As Ken Riley moved in underneath Branch and flipped him over his shoulder just about the time the ball got there. It's 3rd and 12 at the 43.
Well, that one was timed perfectly as Riley waited till Branch went up in the air. He wasn't going to be able to prevent him from catching it any other way because Branch had position on him. But just as the ball touched Branch, Riley touched him.
Stabler is 11 for 16 forward passing, 142 yards. 2 minutes, 43 seconds left in the third quarter. Oakland 24, Cincinnati 14. 3rd and 12 now for the Oakland Raiders. Stabler dropping back, the left-hander looks. Plenty of time. He throws, and it's taken at the 41-yard line. So the drive stays alive for the Oakland Raiders. A catch made from the tight end, Bob Moore, and Jim LeClaire hit him immediately. Bob Moore with the reception. First and 10 now. The ball is at the 41-yard line of Cincinnati.
The Raiders able to hit on those third down plays, and one of the reasons that Stabler is being so accurate here today is the time that he has to throw. Cincinnati has not been able to get to Stabler.
First and 10, Oakland at the Cincinnati 41-yard line. It is Banaszak carrying for about 2, possibly 3 yards. That's the 38, making 3, 2nd and 7. Sherman White, 250-pound end, came in to make the tackle. 1 minute, 45 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The Oakland Coliseum. The place is packed and jammed here this afternoon. Banaszak, by the way, has carried 12 times for 43 yards. There goes Ciani to the right side. Cliff Branch coming left. 2nd and 7 for the Raiders in Cincinnati territory. Stabler dropping straight back to touch. Takes a look. Goes left, and it is right. He gathered it in. At the 24, gets up and moves to the 19. However, it's going to be contact ruled by Ken Riley at the 24, so the last advance of 5 will be overruled. He went down with contact, so the ball was dead at the 24-yard line. First and 10. Oakland at the Cincinnati 24.
Riley was just an instant late. He was trying for the interception there. But again, Branch cut that one off short. Riley has to be very conscious of Branch going deep. He has to get help from the safeties on that side if Branch does go farther downfield. But he has to be conscious of the deep threat.
20th first down for Oakland. Stabler, 13 for 18, 173 yards. Just Clarence Davis coming left. Inside the 20 and on down to the 17-yard line. In at 7 yards, it'll be 2nd and 3 for the Oakland Raiders as they drive steadily downfield. They have a 10-point lead. We have 24 seconds remaining. That may very well have been the last play of the third quarter. As the Oakland Raiders take a look up there, they don't have to come out of the huddle at all. 15 seconds, the clock is running, and they're not going to make any attempt to get off another play. Ball is at the 17-yard line, and the clock is simply counting it off. 7 seconds, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's the gun. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Oakland 24, Cincinnati 14.
Wrapping up the rest of the college basketball Saturday in the Midwest, Illinois State 87-77 over Idaho State. It was Toledo 75-48 over Capital. In the West, Nevada Reno 92-89 over San Diego State. Oregon Tech 92-67 over Rocky Mountain College. San Jose State 95-93 over Loyola of Louisiana. Elizabeth Ekblom of Sweden scored the first major upset of the Australian Open tennis tournament when she eliminated second-seeded Kerry Reid of Australia. Ekblom beat Reid 6-4, 6-3. Earlier, top-seeded Yvonne Gulagang of Australia breezed through the first round of the championship with a 6-3, 6-1 victory over Lotta Stenberg of Sweden. Richard Lewis of England moved into the second round of the men's singles when John Trickey of Australia withdrew with leg cramps in the fourth set. The only American to see action, Raz Reed, was eliminated by Sid Ball of Australia 6-2, 7-6, 6-2. Fourth quarter of action just about ready to get underway, and the Cincinnati defense is going to start straightening up.
Just 15 minutes remaining for Oakland to hold on or Cincinnati to catch up. And Oakland right now is in the best holding position because they're down at the 17-yard line of the Bengals. And second down and about 3 yards to go. Moving the ball steadily against the Cincinnati defense that has not really been able to stop the Raiders today, and that is evidenced by the fact that the Raiders have not had to punt. They haven't had to use one of their biggest weapons, Ray Guy.
Here come the Raiders, second and 3 at the Cincinnati 17-yard line. As we start the final quarter of play, Lindsey Nelson, Lon Simmons, and the Mutual crew in Oakland. Here's Banaszak, a big opener to left side. Inside the 10 and on down to the 6-yard line. First and goal for the Raiders at the 6-yard line of the Cincinnati Bengals. A big hole opening up there. The offensive line of the Oakland Raiders, Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Dave Dalby, George Beeler, and John Bella have been straighting the defensive alignment of the Bengals here this afternoon. And Art Jackson, Ken Riley finally made the stop. Banaszak has carried 13 times for 53 yards here this afternoon. Banaszak and Clarence Davis for the running back. Davis now comes right. Tries to get outside, but he stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be second and goal at the 6-yard line. Lamar Parrish, 6-year veteran from Lincoln, in to make the tackle. Stabler looks him over now as he reconvenes the huddle of the Oakland Raiders. Here comes Harold Hart onto the field. He's a running back. 2-year veteran from Texas Southern. He led the league in kickoff returns this year. Right to the left side. Triani to the right side. One lone setback. That's Banaszak. Banaszak's got the ball, and he weaves his way through, spinning to the 1-yard line. He's Banaszak to the 1-yard line, where it'll be third down and goal to go. Ron Pritchett and Jim LeClaire in to make the stop. Third and goal for Oakland at the Cincinnati 1. Now they're going to try the 3 tight end alignment. They bring Dave Casper and Warren Bankston in. Stabler has not been sacked today. Anderson's been sacked 4 times. Banaszak and Hart are the running backs now for Anderson. And Stabler. Stabler has the ball and he throws to tight end. Dave Casper for the touchdown. Dave Casper took the pass from Kenny Stabler for the touchdown. He was deep in the end zone. Dave Casper, the former Notre Damer, took the pass for the touchdown. However, there's a penalty marker on the play. Holding is against Cincinnati. It is declined. It is a touchdown. Cincinnati holding. The penalty, of course, declined. And the touchdown pass goes from Stabler to Dave Casper. Conversion attempt coming now. Stabler will be holding for George Blanda. Stabler waiting for the snap, puts it down. Blanda puts it up. And it's good. There's a timeout on the field with the score. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 14, and now this word.
The Oakland Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers met last December 29th in Oakland to decide the American Football Conference champions. When the dust cleared, Pittsburgh had won 24-13. They went on to win the Super Bowl. This season, the AFC Championship will be decided on January 4th, and you can tune in the exciting play-by-play with Lindsey Nelson and Al Wester exclusively on Mutual. January 4th, Mutual, the AFC Championship football game. Mutual, your network for news and sports. Well, in Davis Cup tennis competition on Saturday, Argentina eliminated Brazil in 1976 South American Cup play as Elio Alvarez and Roberto Cano defeated Luis Tavares and Carlos Kirkmeyer 3-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4. The doubles victory Saturday gave Argentina a 3-0 lead over Brazil in the best-of-5 competition. The final 2 singles matches are to be played today. Argentina next faces Chile in February to determine the winner of the South American Zone competition. The Mexican government is studying whether it will permit the 1976 Mexican Davis Cup tennis team to play South Africa. The Foreign Ministry refused to issue visas to the 1975 South African team because of South Africa's racial segregation policies, and Mexico forfeited that match. Right now, back now for the kickoff.
It'll be Guy kicking off here now from the 35-yard line. Len Valente is back with Bernard Parrish, or rather with Bernard Jackson. Here comes Guy forward. Puts it up. Turns over to the right side. Len Valente at the 5-yard line. He comes back to the left, goes to the 10, to the 15. Across the 20, and Len Valente to stop at the 23-yard line. So the Cincinnati Bengals start first and 10 from there, 23-yard line. Morris Bradshaw downfield to make the tackle. For the game here this afternoon, which is, of course, the final game to be played this football season at the Oakland Coliseum, there were 53,994 tickets issued. The attendance, the turnstile count today, 53,039. Only 955 no-shows and a crowd of 53,000 plus here at Oakland this afternoon. The ball is spotted near the 22.
That was a putt from Modesto that didn't make it.
It could well have done. Dropping straight back now is Anderson. Over the middle and incomplete as he hit Len Valente right in the chest at the 29-yard line. Second and 10 at the 22. Elliott is going back to the huddle ever so slowly. I don't think he really wants to go back to that huddle.
Well, he'd a lot rather go back to the huddle than the bench. Paul Brown's over there at the bench.
Paul Brown speaks rather plainly in such circumstances. 12 minutes, 49 seconds left to play in this ball game. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 14. Ken Anderson waits for the snap. Now he's got his running back split. He's outback. Pumps it and it's incomplete. He was trying to hit Isaac Curtis at the 35-yard line. Third and 10 at the 22. Anderson is 10 for 17, 105 yards passing today. Isaac Curtis has not had a reception. He has been shut out so far. Here comes Trumpy into the next play as Bruce Costa is going off.
Those last two passes really haven't been Anderson's fault, but they were incomplete. He hit both receivers, but you couldn't fault Curtis too much there either. He ran into a freight train.
They come up in a double wing now, one setback for Ken Anderson. Motion back to the inside by Curtis. Anderson dropping back over the middle, and it is complete up about the 29-yard line. Gathered in by Isaac Curtis and Neil Colsey. Made the tackle along with Alonzo Thomas. Fourth down in the punting, and it's coming on, and a big hand for the Oakland defense here at the Oakland Coliseum. In to do the punting now is Dave Green. Ron Simmons pointed out Ray Guy, who led the league in punting, has not been called upon to punt today for the Oakland Raiders. Neil Colsey is deep to return it. Green is standing on his own 15-yard line. The long snap made by Bob Johnson. Kick is up. Colsey moves up and makes the catch at his 37 to the 40, cuts up to the 45, back right, and he stopped at the 49-yard line. Again, excellent field position for the Oakland Raiders. They start first and 10 at their 49. We'll be on a plane tonight flying from San Francisco to Jacksonville, Florida. Tomorrow night we'll bring you the Gator Bowl game. University of Maryland Terrapins against the Gators of the University of Florida. That game will be heard on many of these mutual stations.
I'll listen to you, Lindsay. I'm not going to get on that airplane.
34-yard kick return 12 yards. Stabler handing it off now. Taken by Marv Hubbard for a yard to the 15. Ron Pritchard made the tackle. Second and 9.
I flew in here to Oakland this morning, and the pilot took a walk back through the plane and said, say, how come Lindsey Nelson isn't on this plane?
The first plane I haven't been on lately.
That's right. He said that was the first one he could figure that you hadn't made for a while.
I had my Christmas dinner served on a tray. That's the only way I can eat now, is off a tray. Second second down. 9 yards to go at the 50. Stabler again to big Marv Hubbard, and he drives through to the 45-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 4 at the 45. Tom Casanova came in to make the tackle.
Can't go to the bathroom unless it's got an occupied sign on it.
The stewardess opens the door. We have 11 minutes remaining to be played.
You know different stewardesses than I do.
Morris Bradshaw has come into the lineup now. Paletnikov has come off. Marciani has come off. It is. Paletnikov has played very little here today. 3rd down and 4 yards to go. Kenny Stabler, the strike is dropping back. Flips this one and it's taken at the 40. And it's flagged, and there's a penalty marker. As Ken Riley made his move. Riley made his move, and there was contact over there, but Bryce made the catch anyway. Lamar Parrish finally made the tackle. So there is a penalty against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Probably be refused because I think he made about a yard more than he would have on the interference. I don't know whether that's the case or not, but it'll be about the same place at the 41.
Interference call, and it's declined. So the interference call is 1st and 10, and it's at the 39-yard line. You're exactly right. We came flying into the Oakland airport last night, and the pilot said the visibility seemed to be unlimited. And up till yesterday throughout the Christmas season, he said the visibility has been about 50 feet on a good day. Here's Stabler throwing out to the left side. Intercepted, and Ken Riley made his move to the 40-45, 50-45. Riley brought down from behind at the 34-yard line of Oakland. Ken Riley has been making moves out there. He had made a move on Bright. Got an interference call just before. Made the move this time and picked it off.
Stabler had 24 passes intercepted during the regular season, and the #1 defensive secondary in pro football finally lived up to the statistics on that one. As Stabler, that one seemed to sort of slip off the side of his hand. He didn't get good direction on it. It was thrown pretty hard, but he was trying to throw it to a different spot. Riley was there to pick it off.
And a 27-yard return by Riley of Florida A&M. 1st and 10 now for Cincinnati at the Oakland 34-yard line. Anderson says Lynn Vallely, then motion outside right. Anderson draws back, swings it out. Now to Ruby Clark in the left flat. Clark makes the catch and goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Neil Colsey, the quarterback on the right side, ran him out. It'll be 2nd down at about 2 yards to go. Anderson is 12 for 19, 120 yards. Here comes Joannan with the next play. Trumpy's coming in place of Coslett at tight end. Defensive reinforcements coming onto the field now for the Oakland Raiders. Oakland leads 31-14, 10 minutes, 19 seconds left to play. Bob Johnson over the ball. Ken Anderson waits for the snap. Motion to the outside left, that's Lynn Valerian. Anderson retreats to throw. Throws long. Joyner! And he got in for the touchdown at the flag in the left corner. Joyner took the touchdown pass, a 26-yarder from Ken Anderson. Jack Tatum was covering down there. So it's 31-20 with the conversion attempt coming. As Cincinnati again is trying to narrow the gap to 10 points. Dave Green attempting the conversion with Ricky Davis holding for him.
Last time these teams met, it was 14-10 Cincinnati. Now they've scored a total of 51 points to this point, trying to make it 52.
Ricky Davis puts it down, Green boosts it up, and it's good. So again, the margin is narrowed to 10 points with the score. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 21. There's a timeout on the field. Alabama coach Paul.
Well, that interception put Cincinnati back in business, got them to a spot where they seem to have been all day. They've either been 10 points behind or 17 behind. They're 10 points back now with 10-13 remaining. Now what they need to do is force another turnover or so. The Raiders, who just drove to a touchdown a while ago, are going to have to maybe get a little more conservative here. Let's see what happens.
Dave Green kicks the ball up, and Hart is waiting at the goal line. Hart is back to 5, the 10, the 15, the 20, the 25, and he stops the 27-yard line. Jim LeClaire made the tackle, and Harold Hart, who led the league this year in kickoff returns, averaging better than 30 yards per return, brought that one back 27-28. It's spotted now at the 28-yard line. So can the Cincinnati defense hold Oakland and force a turnover? Here's Bob Hubbard trying to skirt out to the left side. Crawls up a foot or two, but actually it's no gain. Second and 10 at the 28. Ron Pritchett, right outside linebacker, made the stop, and here comes Pete Banaszak into the backfield. And Marv Hubbard is coming off now for John Madden's Oakland Raiders. Raiders have been trying to get back into the Super Bowl since 1967. They got in and lost to Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers. Formation. Davis the tailback, and he's got the football. It's to the left side, toss to cutback moves to the 31-yard line. A gain of 3. It's going to be third down and 7. Ron Carpenter from North Carolina State came in to make the tackle. Much of the pro football conversation around this area is around the subject of who's going to be the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Dick Nolan having been let out as the head man. Bianchi to the right side. Bright to the left side. Dropping back now is Stabler. And he is stopped. Penalty marker goes down. Penalty marker goes down, and it's Bob Brown who made the tackle.
I think there was probably holding against the Raiders because as Bob Brown went by, it tackled him. Keep from getting to Stabler, but that didn't help. He got to him anyway.
That is the first time that Stabler has been sacked in this game today. And it was holding, and it was against the Raiders, and it has been declined because the ball's back at the 18-yard line. And it'll be fourth down coming up.
Well, the last two series, the Cincinnati Bengals had come up with a big defensive play, the interception and now the sack of Stabler. They could get good field position, but Ray Guy is going to kick for the first time. He's the National Football League leader with over 43-yard average punting.
43.8, his longest 64 yards. It's the University of Southern Mississippi. First time today that the Raiders have had the punt. Guy puts it up. And it is taken and fumbled at the 48-yard line. Now Blackwood recovered the fumble for Cincinnati. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is Mutual, your network for news and sports.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Nelson with Lon Simmons and the Mutual crew at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Blackwood took that punt fumble and recovered himself at the 50-yard line. Cincinnati starts first and 10 at the 50. They are trailing by 10 points. Anderson brings them up now. Motion to the outside. That's Isaac Curtis. He's in the right set. Ken Anderson drops back. Throws to Curtis on the far down the right sideline. Contact made. It should be interference. It should be interference.
Offensive interference, they're calling it.
George Atkinson was the defender. And offensive interference is being called. George Atkinson, the defender.
Atkinson did a good job getting position that time. He got in front of Curtis. Curtis couldn't get around him. Curtis, the only thing he could do to try to get to the ball was run over Atkinson. But that was where he made his second mistake. The first was getting behind him in the first place. But Atkinson did an excellent job, and this will cost the Bengals 10 yards.
Puts the ball back at the 40 as Monty Johnson exercises the Oakland option. It'll be first down. 20 yards to go, and the ball is back at the 40. 8 minutes, 35 seconds left to play in this game. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 21. Now they bring in the 6 defensive backs. They're going sure pass, first and 20. Myers and Joyner are double to the left side. Isaac Curtis goes to the right side. Ruby Clark is the lone setback. That's motion Cosby to the right side. Anderson retreats. Whips it now to Booby Clark, trying to cut back toward the middle. He got to the 43-yard line. A penalty marker on the play. There's a penalty marker. The ball was taken away after the whistle. Monty Johnson and Art Toms made the tackle. It was a lineman's flag. So Jim Tunney, the referee, comes over to indicate illegal procedure against Cincinnati. That'll cost them 5 more. Make it 1st and 25 back to the 35-yard line. Cincinnati Bengals are clearly moving in the wrong direction. Having started from the 50, they're now back to their own 35. 8.5 minutes left in the game. The winner of this game plays the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh at Three River Stadium next Sunday afternoon. The American Football Conference Championship game, and you'll hear that on many of these mutual stations. 60-50 back alignment still in there for Oakland. Double wing set for Cincinnati. Anderson waiting for the snap. He sends Trumpy in motion to the right. Gives the ball off to Booby Clark. He runs it up to the 39-yard line for 4. It'll be 2nd and 21. Art Toms, the 7-year veteran from Syracuse, made the stop. Next play is coming in, having been called by Paul Brown. This is his 41st year as a football coach. He started at Severn Prep. He coached at Massillon, Ohio. Had a fabulous career there. Went to Ohio State. Coached at Great Lakes during the war years of World War II. Became the head coach of the Cleveland Browns in 1946. The team name for him. There's a timeout, Cincinnati. With the score, Oakland 31, Cincinnati 21. There's a timeout on the field.
UCLA coach Dick Vermeil admitted Saturday that several Bruin players protested about the hard workouts he has put them through in preparation for their game with top-ranked Ohio State New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. Vermeil said the matter came to a head a week ago Thursday, the Bruins' 5th day of practice for the game, but that the protest was quickly resolved and that morale has returned to normal. The coach said an executive committee of players representing the squad came to him and said they thought going to the Rose Bowl would be a little bit more fun in terms of preparation. Well, we approach going to the Rose Bowl as an opportunity to win another football game. And I only know one way to get ready to win a football game, and that's to work hard, he said. Vermeil said the first 3 to 4 days the squad had worked as if they were shaping up in spring practice. They better get in better shape for that, as they have already been trounced once this year in regular season action by the top-ranked Buckeyes of Woody Hayes, led, of course, by quarterback Cornelius Green and the gentleman who won 2 Heisman trophies in a row, Archie Griffin.
In the bright sunshine of Oakland, California, it's the Oakland Raiders 31, the Cincinnati Bengals 21. Cincinnati has the ball, 2nd down and 21 yards to go. They have it at their own 39-yard line. When players resume, we'll have 7 minutes, 53 seconds left to play in this game. This is the first round, of course, of the championship playoffs. Cincinnati has never been past the first round. Oakland on one occasion, 1967, went all the way to the Super Bowl, only to lose to the Green Bay Packers. Now, Cincinnati comes up in a double wing set. Booby Clark gets the lone set back. 2nd down and 21. As Myers motion back to the inside, and Anderson is retreating to throw. And he hits Myers. It is at the 40-yard line, to the 35, to the 30, and on down out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Jack Tatum made the stop. Chip Myers from Northwest Oklahoma, 6'6", 205-pounder, took it. It is 1st and 10. The ball is inside the 24-yard line. Cincinnati moving now. They trail by 10 points. If they can take it all the way in and add the conversion, they can reduce it to 3 and be very much in this ball game with 7 minutes, 43 seconds left to play. Bob Trumpy is coming in tight end now. Chip Myers is out of the ball game. Here comes Isaac Curtis to the left side, going into the right side. Curtis is flank left. 2 setbacks, evened up. Now motion back to the inside by Isaac Curtis. Gives it off to Booby Clark. Booby Clark bends his way, struggles all the way to the 17-yard line. Picks up yardage on the play as Monty Johnson came in. It's going to be 2nd down and a long 3. for 46 yards here this afternoon. Second and 3 in the crowd now. Getting in a sit-up, trying to call on the defense of the Oakland Raiders here. Johnson in motion, and here's the pitch. It's taken by Linville Elliott. He cuts back inside the 15. I think he's got the first down. It's very close. And Hendricks finally made the stop. Linville Elliott came left and cut back. So now they'll take a long look at the 6 to see if Elliott has picked up the first down. It is about 13-yard line. They're going to bring out the chain to measure for the possible first down. Chain is stretched now, and it is a first down. Oakland is leading by a 10-point margin. Curtis in motion to the outside. Ken Anderson waiting for the snap from Bob Johnson. One lone setback there in a double wing. Now, dropping back is Anderson. He throws it to Curtis. He makes the diving catch at the 14-yard line. Was thrown low. He had to make the diving catch. Neil Cozy was covering. So it's a completed pass for a loss of about a half yard. Call it second and 10. More accurately, second and 11 at the 14 as it's spotted. Anderson is 15 for 22, 182 yards here this afternoon, passing. 6 minutes, 5 seconds left to play in the game. Joyner goes to the right side. Bruce Costa, the tight end, is split out 10 yards to the left side.
Oakland might blitz. They sent in 2 linebackers.
Anderson retreats and pumps it incomplete. Isaac Curtis never did see the ball. He was going to run a post, but he was thrown so quickly he did not see it. Jack Tatum was covering defensively. Third and 11 for Cincinnati at the Oakland 14-yard line.
I think Anderson released in a little bit of a hurry there. The Raiders took out 2 backs and put in 2 linebackers that time, adding the 4 linebackers again. And I think Anderson released a little too soon. He had a couple of men open.
Murphy is coming to tight end now. The big third down play comes here. Third and 11, Cincinnati at the Oakland 14. They're in the slot right. Anderson retreats to set up. Now throws to the corner to Isaac Curtis, and he's got it for a touchdown. He was covered well. Neil Cozy all over him, but a great catch by Isaac Curtis in the end zone. So now it is 31-27. A conversion attempt coming as the Cincinnati trying to narrow the gap to 3 points. A 14-yard pass going from Ken Anderson to Isaac Curtis. Dave Green attempting the conversion with Ricky Davis holding for him. Davis has marked the spot. Right hand outstretched. He waits for the snap. He gets it, puts it down. Green boots it up. And it's good. So there's a timeout with the score. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 28, and now this word.
Monday night, December 29th, the Mutual Broadcasting System takes you to Jacksonville, Florida for the Gator Bowl, the meeting between the University of Florida and the University of Maryland. The Terrapins take a 7-2-1 record into the contest against Florida's 8-2. It's Maryland's 3rd straight bowl bid after a losing decade that turned around when Coach Jerry Claiborne came aboard after the 1971 season. Lindsey Nelson and Al Wester will be before the Mutual microphones to bring you all the action of this prestigious bowl game. And that's just one of the big postseason games remaining on Mutual. There's the Sugar Bowl New Year's Eve, the East-West Shrine Game January 3rd, the AFC Championship Game January 4th, the Senior Bowl for Mobile, Alabama January 11th, and the Pro Bowl Monday, January 26th. So have your dial set to this station Monday night, December 29th, as Lindsey Nelson and Al Wester bring you the Gator Bowl from Jacksonville, Maryland versus the University of Florida, beginning at 8:45 p.m. New York time over most of these Mutual Network stations.
Cincinnati's job now is to prevent the Raiders from getting a big run back, getting field position here. And of course, the Raiders' job is to try to set up a lane, get a big return. If Cincinnati can hold them back down deep, then they can get some field position.
Dave Green is kicking off. It's up and in the air. Clarence Davis moving over right. At the 11-yard line, he has it to the 15, and he's upended at the 21-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Oakland Raiders. They have the ball at the 21. It was Jackson downfield to make the tackle. Bernard Jackson. So Oakland starts 1st and 10 at the 21. This crowd comes alive now as Kenny Stabler leads the offensive unit on. Hubbard is coming off the field, and they're going with Banaszak and Davis. Banaszak and Davis, the wide receivers of Bryce and Cincinnati in there for the Oakland Raiders. We have 5 minutes, 36 seconds left. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 28. Cincinnati and Bryce are double to the left side. Running back to the line. Banaszak ahead of Davis. Stabler now rolling left. Looking for a receiver. Throws, and it's a diving catch at the 33 to Bryce. Bryce made a diving catch at the 33-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Oakland Raiders with passer Kenny Stabler rolling out left and hitting Bryce.
Sort of a strange play there. Branch had a chance to get up and run, but I think he thought that there were probably a few guys getting ready to kill him as he did. So he was just lying there. He was content to make the catch on that one, I guess, with a good thing.
Branch has gone 4 for 83 yards so far. Here's a handoff to Davis, turning left. He gets across the 35 out to the 37-yard line. Again, a 4 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 6. Bernard Jackson up from his free safety spot. He's a 4-year veteran from Washington State. Clock is running. 4 minutes, 45 seconds left to play in this game. The Oakland Raiders are leading by 3 points. The winner plays the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday afternoon in the AFC Championship game. A game that you'll hear on many of these mutual stations. Right to the left side, Cincinnati right. Davis moves to a wing back left. Banaszak the lone setback, and he fumbles the ball. Cincinnati recovers at the 37. Cincinnati recovers the fumble at the 37-yard line of Oakland. Ron Carpenter's on the football. Ron Carpenter recovered Banaszak's fumble. 1st and 10 Cincinnati. A big break in the football game.
That ball never did get to Banaszak. It was when Stabler handed it off, he handed it to him right on his knee. And Banaszak never had a chance to grab a hold of the ball, and it fell right into the arms of Ron Carpenter.
Now the Cincinnati Bengals trailing by 3 points. Have the ball. 1st and 10. Here comes Phillips on the field for Oakland, and now he's coming back off. He didn't have time to get to his position. They're in a double wing set. Anderson is waiting for the snap now. Motion back to the inside. Anderson retreats. Sets up, and he is back. He is back. At the 44-yard line by Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks back in for a 7-yard loss. That's the 5th time that the Oakland defense has sacked quarterback Ken Anderson today. Started at the 43-yard line. Lost to 6, making 2nd and 16.
Hendricks hasn't done anything differently all afternoon. He's just lined up there on that corner, right outside the tackle, and just been flying at the quarterback. Sometimes he gets him, and sometimes he doesn't.
Here comes the Cincinnati, 2nd and 16. They're on a slot to the left side. Oakland with 60-50 back. One lone setback. Anderson waiting for the snap. Motion back across. That's Bruce Conklin. Anderson goes to Conklin. He takes it to the 40. But he's gathered in by Charles Phillips. It'll be about the 38-yard line. It'll be a 3rd down play coming now. 3rd down and 11 yards to go. At the 38. Big play. 3 minutes, 32 seconds left to play in the game. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 28. Bob Trumpy comes in with the next play. Call by Coach Paul Brown. Here comes Joyner to the left side. Isaac Curtis to the right side. The running back to Reeves up. Tight end Trumpy in the slot left. Ken Anderson waits for the snap from Bob Johnson. Trumpy in motion back to the right side. Anderson retreating now. Penalty mark is thrown. He throws to Trumpy. Trumpy gathered it in, but he was on the sideline marker. No catch. It's a lineman flag. So the officials are in conference now. What about that flag? Illegal procedure is indicated against Cincinnati. They will be declined to make it 4th down. Jim Cundy, the referee, again indicates, now this time he indicates illegal motion. Declined to make it 4th down. It is 4th and 11 at the 33.
Bengals are going to go for it. If you're talking about kicking field goal. Green is only 1 for 7 between the 30 and 39. He's 3 for 5 between the 40 and 49, but they're not going for the field goal.
On 4th and 11, they're going to try to pick it up to stay alive here. Late in the ball game, trailing by 3. Linville Elliott in motion to the right side. Anderson retreats. He throws out to Linville Elliott, and it's incomplete. The ball goes over. Here was a high pass. Elliott went up, did not hold it. Field goal recovery. Ball goes over now to Oakland with 3 minutes and 2 seconds to play. First and 10, and Oakland takes it. And then 38. The Oakland defense is held to take the ball back after the offense had fumbled it over to Cincinnati.
That was sort of a strange play call with that 11 yards to go. If they were going to throw an incomplete pass, you'd think they would have been throwing it a little deeper downfield. They were trying to isolate the running back, I know, but they didn't have him. The Raiders had it well covered, and it had no chance of working even if he'd have caught it.
First and 10 for Oakland. They have the ball at their own 38-yard line. They lead 31-28. 3 minutes, 2 seconds left to play. This is Vanderdyk going left. He gets across the 40 and out to the 41-yard line. He picks up 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7. Ron Carson from North Carolina State made the tackle. Oakland reconvening the huddle now. Vanderdyk lifts off the field, and here comes Marv Hubbard back in. Hubbard is in, Vanderbyk's out.
Well, you really have to give credit to that Oakland defense, as Cincinnati had to be fired up, recovering that fumble, a chance to go out in front or at least tie it up, and Oakland didn't give them anything.
Vanderdyk carries 15 down for 60 yards here this afternoon. Hubbard's in his place right now. Davis, the other running back, there's Hubbard. Big man, gains only a yard. He goes to the 42. It'll be 3rd down and 6 yards to go. Jim LeClaire, the middle linebacker, made the stop for Cincinnati. Clock is winding down now toward the automatic timeout. 2-minute warning. It's down to 2:06, 2:05. And I think we'll get it before we get another playoff. It's down to 2, and there is the automatic timeout, the 2-minute warning. The Terrapins of Maryland meet the University of Florida Gators tomorrow night, beginning at 8:45 New York time, over most of these Mutual Network stations. Al Wester and I will be there for the pageantry, the color, and the action of the Gator Bowl. Hit your way with Mutual's best wishes for a happy holiday. And you're also invited to a New Year's Eve party right here on most of these Mutual Network stations, as the world's #1 radio sports network brings you the annual Sugar Bowl Classic from New Orleans. It's Alabama and Penn State, and what promises to be the most exciting one yet. That's the Sugar Bowl, New Year's Eve in New Orleans over most of these Mutual Network stations. We'll be announcing very shortly now the outstanding offensive and defensive player for today's game. It's been a battle here at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, with Oakland leading throughout the afternoon, but Cincinnati having closed the gap to 3 points with 2 minutes remaining to be played here. The Oakland defense held at a crucial time here after the ball had been fumbled away in Oakland territory to Cincinnati. The defense held and took the ball back. When play is resumed, it'll be 3rd down and 6 yards to go for Oakland. They have the ball at their own 42-yard line.
On this one play right here might rest Cincinnati's season. If they stop the Raiders on this play and they force them to punt, they'll get a chance again. But if they lose it here, if the Raiders get a 1st down, Cincinnati may not get a hand on the ball again.
Davis back to throw. He takes a look, throws it out to flat. It's complete. Taken out to the front by Bob Moore, the tight end. And he is out of bounds right at the stick. So they're all congregated over there in front of the Cincinnati bench to see where that ball's going to be spotted. Question is, was Moore in advance of the stick?
I think he was short.
I think he was short, too. As we look through the ball players gathered over there, it appears that he was short, which would make it 4th down and less than a yard to go. They're going to take the chain all the way across now to measure. Is it a 1st down for Oakland with 1:54 to play? Is it 4th and 1? Oakland leading 31-28. The chain's being taken all the way across. They're going to mark it on the sideline. Chain is being extended now.
He got the 1st down.
He got the 1st down. It is 1st and 10. Bob Moore, the tight end from Stanford, got out. That's the 6 for the 1st down. So passes for 57 yards here this afternoon. Cincinnati comes off the field. Stabler calling the next play on the huddle for the Oakland Raiders. First and 10 at their own 48. The clock will start when the ball is snapped. Right just far to the right side. Anizak is back in with Davis as running back. Anizak gets the ball, goes to the left side. Gets across the 49-yard line for 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Cincinnati's going to have to start spending timeouts right now to stop the clock.
And they're spending one, I believe, right now. Ball is marked there at the 49-yard line. Timeout, Cincinnati. That is the first of 3. Beg your pardon, the second of 3.
They had to spend one earlier on their last drive when Anderson wasn't too sure of what he wanted to do. Ted Hendricks with 4 sacks, and he's also blocked a punt. He's had quite a day defensively out there, and Kenny Stabler did a pretty good day offensively. I think our board of experts might consider those two when it comes to the voting.
Stabler has completed 17 of 23, 199 yards in the air.
3 touchdowns. What an interesting game in the fact that it appeared that Oakland had it well out of reach, that they could do what they wanted to. I still think the big play as far as keeping this one a close game was the pass that Ciani dropped, and enough finding fault with Ciani, but he looked as if he were going to have a touchdown or at least be down about the 1 or 2 yard line. He dropped the ball, then eventually the Raiders were forced to go for a field goal, and that was blocked. And the Bengals went down to score a touchdown. So that was a turnover of 14 points there, which meant that the Bengals, where they are now, only 3 points behind.
2nd and 7 for the Oakland Raiders. They have the ball at the Cincinnati 49-yard line. 1 minute 47 seconds left to play. Davis carries left. Pull back as he got a yard to the 48-yard line. Another timeout now. That will be the last one for Cincinnati. They have just spent their 3rd timeout. Ball is being brought on and spotted at the inbounds marker on the far side. And it is at the 47.5-yard line. Davis has carried 14 times for 51 yards this afternoon. It'll be 3rd down coming. 3rd and a long 6, actually 6.5. Clock says 1 minute 41 seconds left. It will start when the ball is next snapped. So again, it's one of those 3rd down circumstances for the Oakland Raiders. They have managed to convert them at crucial times in this ball game this afternoon. Cliff Branch comes far to the right side. Hubbard is under the running back along with Davis. Davis going left, tries to cut back, and he gets through the 45 and gets on up very close to the 6. Appears to be short. Clock is running, of course, 1.5 minutes remaining. He appeared to be about a yard short, so it's going to be 4th down as the ball is spotted at the 43-yard line.
The Raiders aren't going to punt, apparently.
4th and 1, and they're not going to punt. They're going to go for it as the clock is running with 1 minute 10 seconds.
Of course, they might do again what they did early, try to draw take the 5-yard penalty. If they don't draw Cincinnati outside, use as much time as they can to run down the clock.
1 minute left to play. Still have not snapped the ball. They're still going to the count. Still counting, and they're going to take a delay penalty, I believe. They do.
Now they'll punt the ball.
Right. Now the punter, Ray Guy, comes on as the clock wound down to 50 seconds.
They have nothing to lose in that situation. They can run down the time on the clock. If Cincinnati gets anxious and jumps off, they get the 1st down. If they don't, they were going to punt anyway.
Guy has kicked 1 time for 34 yards here this afternoon. He averaged 43.8 to lead the league.
He wasn't in practice. It's been a long time since he'd punted today.
Lamar Parrish on one side, Castro on the other, and Blackwood is in the middle. Lyle Blackwood is in the center.
50 seconds.
50 seconds. Guy is standing on his 35-yard line. Oakland leading 31-28. Here's the snap. Guy gets it. Under heavy pressure, got it off, and they might be a roughing and penalty. Roughing and kicking penalty. The ball is down in the end zone.
calculated risk with no timeout, especially. We have a timeout now. We'll pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is Mutual, your network for news and sports.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Cincinnati had to take no timeouts. If Guy got the kick away, they were going to be a long, long way off from that end zone. So they just thought they might be able to block the kick.
Kenny Stabler takes the ball, simply steps back and hits the deck. They know Cincinnati cannot stop the clock. They just want to run it out now. They'll have to run one more play. It is back to the 46-yard line. A loss of 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 13. They simply use a tight alignment to protect the quarterback. He takes the ball and drops back. Clock is running, 20 seconds remaining. This will be the last play of the ball game. Oakland 31, Cincinnati 28. Again, they allow the back in close. A ring around Stabler, who'll step back and hit the deck, and he does. Takes a loss of a yard back there. 47. The clock is running. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. There's the gun. Oakland has defeated Cincinnati by a score of 31-28. Oakland will be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday afternoon for the American Conference Championship at Flavor Stadium in Pittsburgh. Final score, Oakland 31, Cincinnati 28. We'll present the wrap-up of today's game after this message.
Well, another surprising and tight football game, as was the first one played today. Drew Pearson put himself in a state of shock, his coach into a state of disbelief, and the Dallas Cowboys into the NFC Championship game with one pass catch. Pearson shrugged off a bumping contest with a Minnesota Viking defensive back to come back for an underthrown pass, put it on his hip, and twisted into the end zone for a touchdown with 24 seconds to play to give the Cowboys a 17-14 win. A 50-yard TD play put the Cowboys, who finished the regular season with a 10-4 record and reached the playoffs as the wild card team, into the NFC Championship playoff game on the Los Angeles Rams home field next Sunday. The Vikings were barred from a chance at a third straight Super Bowl appearance. The pass was underthrown and I had to come back for it, Pearson said. All along, Roger Staubach kept asking me if I could get deep. Finally, we ran out of chances. I told him this was the time. I gave Nate Wright an inside move, and we were even more lucky because I got the ball.
Lindsey Nelson, what did the Board of Experts say about the most valuable players today?
Well, the Board of Experts who have been watching this game to its entirety say that Kenny Stabler should be the offensive player of the day.
I can't find much to dispute that.
And they say that a man who has not played regularly this year with the Oakland Raiders, but played certainly here today in fine shape, Ted Hendricks, who had 4 sacks in the ball game, blocked a kick, and did a number of other things, should be the defensive player of the day.
Matt Stork did everything but deliver a baby today. It was quite an afternoon, a 31-28 ball game, as you would think it was mainly offense, and it looked as if the Raiders were going to take it away early. In fact, they had a 10-0 lead. They led by 17 points a couple of times in the game. Landa kicked a 27-yard field goal in the first quarter after he had missed one earlier. Then Mike Tiani took a 9-yard pass from Ken Stabler in the second quarter to make it a 10-0 Raider lead. However, the Cincinnati's were able to come back as Fritz ran it in from 1 yard out. That after the Bengals had blocked a Raider field goal attempt to keep them in the ball game. Bob Moore took an 8-yard pass from Stabler to make it 17-7 at halftime. Then in the third quarter, Keith Banaszak elevated the lead to 17 points as he ran in from 6 yards out for the Raiders. 24-7 Oakland. Wendell Elliott ran 6 yards to put Cincinnati within 10 again at 24-14. But then in the fourth quarter, Stabler threw to Dave Casper for 2 yards and a 31-14 lead. However, Ken Anderson hit Joyner for 26 yards. It was 31-21. Then Anderson hit Curtis for 14 yards, 31-28. When the Raiders got the ball again, they fumbled it at their own 37, and it looked as though it might be an upset here, as there was earlier in the day when Dallas won in the final 30 seconds against Minnesota. But the Oakland defense was tough enough. They held. In fact, Ted Hendricks sacked Anderson on the first play, and the Bengals were only able to get back to the original line of scrimmage before giving up the ball. And that was the story of the day right there, as the Raiders were able to run it out and wind up with a 31-28 decision.
And so it is, the 4 teams battling for the AFC AFC and NFC crowns next week will be Pittsburgh and Oakland in the AFC, Dallas and Los Angeles in the NFC. This broadcast, authorized and the rights granted by the Bengals, Raiders, and the National Football League, was intended solely for the entertainment of the AFRTS listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Bengals, Raiders, and the NFL is prohibited. Again, our thanks to Mutual's Lindsey Nelson and Lon Simmons for the description of today's game. Once again, the final score, the Raiders 31, the Bengals 28. Army Sergeant Preston Cross speaking, along with our engineer Rod Richardson. This has been a presentation of AFRTS Sports in Washington.